Well, well, well. It's another Saturday night. Therefore, it's another Saturday night Shoot the Breeze. If you can hear my voice, please drop a 1 in the chat. Let me make sure I can be heard by the family. If you can hear my voice and you're in the chat, I can be heard. Oh, wait, sounds like I can be heard. Hear my voice and you're in the Sounds like I can be heard. So with that said, let me give you guys a little rundown on what we're talking about tonight. Tonight, Shoot the Breeze, we're going to talk about Africa Rise. The mobilization of Africans around the world has increased due to the threats from America towards our brother, President Ibrahim Traore et al. We're going to discuss a message to the warrior class. We're going to discuss how blackness should not equal poverty. We're going to discuss Western democracy and how it will never work in an African context. Lastly, we're going to talk about the myth of African democracy as portrayed in a well-suited Negro. Those are the topics we have in store tonight. I would hope you guys could see how fire those topics are, and will be willing to share the show on your social media. In fact, if you're on Twitter, just retweet my post about tonight's show, the one with the link, so we can have more people join this conversation. If you would like, you can also click the link and become a panelist tonight. And lastly, you can also click the link in the description and join the Discord. Shout out to Provide Triggers and others who joined and actually started posting prompts as well. So those are topics we have tonight. Those are my invitations to join the panel, to join the Discord. And lastly, this is episode 195. We're getting closer and closer to that episode 200. I'm still fielding ideas for what we should do for the 200th episode. It's time for me to start really getting on that now too, and start inviting some guests. So if you have ideas, join the Discord, hit me up. I'm Koku on the Discord. Let me know what you would like to see done for the 200th episode. I didn't get any ones from anyone, but I do believe I'm being heard based on what I heard on my own phone. So with that said, I'm going to start the show officially. And on the other side, I'll drop Shoot the Breeze topic number 1, as well as introduce any and all of my panelists tonight. So please stay tuned.
You are listening to the Bitter Medicine Podcast on KWAZ Radio. Welcome to the Bitter Medicine Podcast, where it's all about Black empowerment. Our show focuses on Black news and entertainment, arts, science, economics, history, people, and strategies that uplift, empower, and motivate Africans within the diaspora. And now your host, whose favorite color is black, Goku.
Welcome back to the Bitter Medicine Podcast. I am your host, Koku. Just want to remind you guys before we get the show rolling that this show is part of a podcast network called KWAZ Radio. There are other shows on the network you are invited to tune into.
This is D Webb with the Harsh Reality Podcast, asking you to tune in where we tackle the news of the day that affects our community, only on KWAZ Radio.
Peace, family. This is Oni, inviting you to listen to the Pro-Black Perspective, where black problems are addressed with black solutions.
Greetings, fam. Tune in to The Learning Curve with me, the revolutionary matron on KWAZ Radio.
You are listening to the Bitter Medicine Podcast on KWAZ Radio.
Maybe I wasn't. Did you guys hear me earlier when I was on? I'm telling you guys what.
Yeah, I can hear you just fine.
Yeah, you did, right?
Yeah.
For some reason, I don't know what's up.
A bit of an echo though.
Huh?
There's a little bit of an echo.
Yeah, let me see if there's something in the settings here that changed. I don't know what changed. Let me see. Audio. That should be good. Let me reduce background noise. Let's see if a little bit better.
How about now? Oh, that's fine. Oh, still an echo. A delay, I think. A delay.
Hold on, well, your voice is choppy to me. I don't know. Want to say something?
1, 2.
Let me see if your voice is choppy too.
1, 2, 1. Oh, Bonnie sound great
One
today.
is a little choppy.
Oh, Bonnie sound great.
Yeah. I hope everyone's good. All of it good. That's good. All of it good.
Anthony, how are you doing? Say something for me. Let me see if your audio is choppy as well.
Hey, peace, brother. I hear you, brother.
Yeah, Anthony's a little low. All right. Let me try to join from another browser. Sorry for the inconvenience, all of you, but sometimes that's just what it is.
Yeah, no worries.
Let me see if I can get on from another browser that doesn't have the problem, that doesn't usually have this problem. Just give me one quick second. But we have a good show. We have a good show tonight. We have some good topics. Just bear with me one quick second, guys. I'll be right back with you.
What's up, Black Steel? Can you hear me?
I can hear you just fine, Bonnie. How you doing?
I'm good, man. How you doing, man? We'll just have to wait for Coco. Coco just have to bring up the red. No sweat.
No problem. No, yeah. Man. I was last week. I had to chaperone the prom, man. That was a.
You guys hear me now?
Oh, okay.
Y'all brothers older, man.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm not hearing a delay
So
anymore.
I'm back.
Hearing a delay. Oh yeah, it is.
It's still a delay.
Don't worry about it.
Okay. Where was I? So I unfortunately had to change browsers, so I gotta grab the prompt again and grab a couple of the links. So just bear with me a second here. But our first topic is going to be about Traore and the mobilization of Africans around the world. Before I get into that, let me introduce my panelists tonight. First, I'll begin with Anthony McPhail. Anthony, how are you tonight?
I'm doing fine, brother. How you doing, Coco?
I'm doing good. I'm having some audio
Yeah, it's
issues, so
kind of
you guys are sounding kind of choppy to me.
Yeah, I hear a delay.
I don't know what's up. Thanks for being here, Anthony. Buana, how are you this week?
I'm good. I'm Koku. I hope you got my message on the Discord, but I'm good. I can hear you clearly, so I hope that I'm not choppy tonight. But there's always something, bro. You just have to work through it. You know how it goes. I mean,
Yeah, I'm gonna. Yeah, you're choppy to me, but I heard you say message on the Discord. I did respond. When you have a chance, check it out. Thanks for the reply, by the way. Last but not least, Black Steel, how are you this week?
I'm doing great, man. How about yourself?
I'm doing okay. I'm hanging in there. Thanks for asking. I'm gonna have to bootleg this a little bit just to get through it. I'm thinking, but in the meantime, since you guys can hear one another, all right, I'll just wing it in terms of how well I can hear you guys. Should we reach topic number 1 tonight? Let's just get into it while I try to fix the sound on the background. Should we topic number 1 says Africa arise. The mobilization of Africans around the world has increased due to threats from America on a potential intervention. Will this continue? This came with quite a few links. So I'm going to try to get through them all. Let me share my screen with you guys. This takes us to X first. So let me make sure you guys can see my screen. On X, this is from African Stream. I guess it's a thread. I don't know if it's intended for me to go through the thread. But anyway, the first link says Burkina Faso's Pan-Africanist President Ibrahim Traore expressed gratitude to his supporters for their show of solidarity worldwide on April 30th of this year. From Burkina Faso to Ghana, from the United Kingdom to Italy, from Jamaica to New York, rallies erupted across the globe in support of Burkina Faso's Pan-Africanist President Ibrahim Traore as one of the most visible leaders from the Alliance of Sahel States, the AES. Traore, alongside Mali's Assimi Goïta and Niger's Tiani, I'm not even trying to pronounce the first name, has emerged as a spearhead of a revolution to free Africa from the shackles of neocolonialism and imperialism. So I'm going to try to show this first image. It says, Traore, thank you, Pan-Africanists. This is from Traore. Thank you, Pan-Africanists, for your support. Captain Traore says, I would like to express my gratitude to all the peace-loving, freedom-loving patriots and Pan-Africanists who rallied around the world on Wednesday, April 30th, 2025, to support our commitment and our vision for a new Burkina Faso and a new Africa, free from imperialism and neocolonialism. Your active solidarity and this demonstration of sympathy strengthens our conviction that the fight we are waging for a fairer, a more equitable world is justified. We will never bend our backs in the face of adversity. We will stand firm until our peoples are truly emancipated. With you, we are certain that victory over the forces of evil is at hand. Together in solidarity, we will defeat imperialism and neocolonialism for a free, dignified, and sovereign Africa. That's the first attachment. The next few attachments takes us to Jamaica. Let me tee that up for you guys. And let me share this let me share this one. So this is from David Hundayan. You see all the different flags he has up in support of Traore. We'll watch the video and then we'll discuss it.
So we're live. So we are U.S. Embassy right in Jamaica. Every Rasta there. And we are sending a message to America. Enough is enough. We do not touch Ibrahim Traore. We do not touch him. We do use Obama. And we do bomb up it. We do bomb up down so and take the Gaddafi from away. We do not touch Ibrahim Traore. And enough more people want to touch away. Donald Trump and you, Mr. Langley, or where you want to name, the captain, you need to understand that the spirit of the ancestors are here. And the long time black people are hold back. No, we don't hold back. If you touch Ibrahim, you touch Jamaicans. You touch real Africans in Jamaica. And every American in Jamaica needs to be careful if you don't touch him. We're serious. Very serious. Very serious. We're very serious. Very, very serious. I'm not talking to you. No, I'm the kingdom. Yeah. Oh, yeah. See there, whoa, see there. See there. Ibrahim Traore. Yes.
Pioneer the forefront of peace. This concerns all Africans. Any destruction plan for the destruction of Africa concerns all of us. And we are saying, church pastors, we ask you Sunday morning, Sabbath, return to sender, return to sender. Any destruction of plan, you return of only because you're concerned about my brother. Upliftment and liberation of all Africans. Anything of plan, anything just a return to sender.
Return to sender. We don't send CIA agents and all kind of people to destabilize people economy. We sick and tired of UNO, America and France and Europe. We don't go ahead. Revolution.
Red, white, and blue.
Revolution.
Nothing to do with you.
Revolution. No red, white, and no blue.
Red, green, blue, and green.
Oh, you mean?
Remember, we tell you.
So I had to jump on my phone. Can you guys hear me right now?
Yeah, I hear you, Koku.
All right, great. Thanks. Now I can hear you properly. I don't know what's up with my computer, man. So that was one of the videos from Jamaica. Let's go to this next post from Jamaica. This is from the Jamaica Gleaner. This time it says a group of Rastafarians on Wednesday gathered in downtown Montego Bay, St. James, to publicly express solidarity with Ibrahim Traore, the transitional president of Burkina Faso. This comes with a video, it seems, as well. We'll watch it.
My name is Priest Wesley Kelly. I'm the high priest for the Eli Selassie, Jah Rastafari, Royal Ethiopian Judah Coptic Church. We are here today to celebrate and to upkeep the work of Abraham Torres, the president of Burkina Faso. We are in support of the president for the liberation of our black mother country, Africa. So while we are gathered here in support of Abraham Torres, the black liberator, that May coming will be in coordination of Black Liberation. So that's where all gathered here today. The 30th of the month, that this month, April, is the month of the Rastafari month, that we have claimed proclamation in 2017, that this month must be recognized as the Rastafari month. And that's why we are here in support of Abraham Torres to liberate Mother Africa from the white colonizers.
What if anything was said that ignites your desire to be here in support of Abraham?
Well, you see, the work of our leaders must take a page out of Abraham Corrett's book that he have written now, The Changing of the Guard, to liberate our motherland and our fatherland. Jamaica is the fatherland. Africa, Ethiopia is our motherland. So we in this island home, the island in the sun, must separate, must agitate for our rights. So it's a great pleasure to share this moment with the eye. Black liberation.
Blessed be the Most High Emperor Haile Selassie the First, Jah Rastafari. We are here today as African descendants in the diaspora. We are here supporting our African leaders coming together in one unity to show love, to show peace, to show joy and happiness to Mother Africa once more. So we are here standing up for the rights of our people. The last year, Jah Rastafari.
Freedom to the land. What led to this gathering this morning?
It's just the fire lamp burn from colonialism. We make them know to ease off and leave and not alone. So you know? Yeah, so you know what go. I just Africa respect. Round and about near and far. Worldwide. Mama Africa. For everyone. All African leaders just make we unite and come together in one. Yeah. And all Caribbean islands. Yeah. So you know Jamaica have to lead out with the world and its people. So you don't know. One perfect love. Rastafari. Yeah man, this is I So Strong. I'm here to make it right. I will never make it wrong. Rast, I So Strong. Blessed love.
Nice stuff. So the diaspora, even in Germany, had something to say about the situation going on now with Ibrahim Traore. This is from Evaluator. It says Africans in the diaspora, Germany, outside the U.S. consulate embassy, saying hands off President Ibrahim Traore, leave the African continent alone. This is a shorter video we'll watch and then we'll discuss.
Und das ist nicht nur der Kampf von Ibrahim Traoré. Das ist nicht nur der Kampf von Assimi Goïta. Das ist nicht nur der Kampf von Generation Afrika.
Oui, c'est en Allemagne. Nous sommes à Berlin précisément. On est en face de l'ambassade des États-Unis. Voilà pour manifester notre mécontentement à l'endroit des propos du général Longley.
Ich möchte wirklich, dass wir verstehen, wir demonstrieren hier nicht nur für Ibrahim Traoré, es ist kein Personenkult. Es geht hier um Befreiung. Es geht darum, dass die Rohstoffe nicht aus Afrika migrieren, kostenlos nach Europa oder im globalen Norden. Es geht darum, dass der Reichtum Afrikas an erster Stelle für afrikanische Menschen, im Interesse der afrikanischen Menschen dient. Und wir unterstützen alle, inklusive die Allianz der Seilstaaten, die in diese Richtung arbeiten. Für Volkssouveränität, für Selbstbestimmung, für Unabhängigkeit und für die Befreiung von Mama Afrika. Ich danke mich für euch allen.
arrêtez de tapoter, les gars. Voilà, il faut rappeler que nous sommes à Berlin, plus précisément pour manifester notre mécontentement par rapport aux propos du général Longley. Il faut dire que c'est bien vrai que nous sommes à Berlin. Il faut savoir qu'Ibrahim est international. Regardez.
Je vais aujourd'hui changer l'hymne national de l'Afrique. Que chacun soit tranquille, écouter ce qui va sortir de ma bouche.
Okay. Hold on one second. Yeah. So we also had our brothers and sisters in South Africa, Johannesburg, showing up for support of Ibrahim Traore. This post from Evaluator says, "Stay safe, brothers. Hopefully the apartheid government won't target you with its corrupt law enforcement. Well done for standing up for brothers in West Africa. The continent is proud." Let's watch the video.
Viva! Viva!
And lastly, we had supporters for Ibrahim Traore that came out in Tanzania. Hopefully, Oni was out there as well. This is another tweet from Evaluator that says Tanzania, Zanzibar, celebrating Burkina Faso President Ibrahim Traore.
Mr. President from Burkina Faso, with love from Zanzibar. Ibrahim Traore, welcome to Zanzibar. Zanzibar, hakuna Mr. President.
Yeah, good stuff from throughout from throughout the African diaspora. Before I get into the discussions with my panelists and introduce everyone who joined since I've been showing the videos, just want to shout out folks in the chat. I see we have D-Web is out there. Hope everyone is well, he says. The matron says greetings to everyone. Real Black Gentleman says graces fam. Of course, Anthony McPhail was out in the chat, hailing up everyone. The pro-black perspective is out there. He says, peace, everyone. Can't stay long, but what's up? Yeah, I just mentioned you a second ago about the protests in Tanzania. And he says, what? In Tanzania? Then he says, you know, damn well I ain't jumping in the water doing flips and shit, though. Funny stuff, man. Trigger Happy's also out there. He says, I'm sure it was already covered, but even in America, there was a march. There's definitely an energy that exists. It's just a matter of how it's channeled. And Buana asks Sister Raw. I don't know if Sister Raw showed that she was here yet, but one asked if Sister Raw went to the rally in Jamaica. With all of that said, I'm dealing in some funny sound situations here. I'm gonna have to go run and grab some headphones to hear you guys properly. But I got Black Steel, Buana, Anthony McPhail, and I also have Ditso here. Ditso, how are you this week?
Thanks so much, everyone. Thank you for having me. I've been busy this week, couple of weeks, especially with the 1st of May that just passed by. I've been keeping an eye on a lot of things, so it's going to be an interesting conversation. Thank you for having me.
No problem, man. Let's hang tight here. Let me get to the brothers who were here already. Let me start with Black Steel. Black Steel, Africa Rise, the mobilization of Africans around the world has increased due to threats from America on a potential intervention. Will this continue? Black Steel, talk about the American threat about, as much as you can too.
Sure. First of all, I'm a little confused about this whole situation. I thought Pan-Africanism was dead, right? I'm confused. Apparently,
that's what I heard. Yeah.
Pan-Africanism apparently is like Lazarus or a zombie, perhaps, that can just rise from the dead. Because apparently, what I'm seeing right here looks a lot like Pan-Africanism to me. So apparently, Pan-Africanism isn't as dead as we think it is. The reports of Pan-Africanism's demise are greatly exaggerated. But anyways, first of all, number one, the threat of American intervention. America is the world's global hegemonic power, right? Since the end of the Cold War, since the Soviet Union collapsed on itself. Well, I shouldn't say that. Soviet Union ceased to be. The United States has maintained the status as the world's sole superpower, and they want to keep it that way. So anything that it could potentially be a threat to U.S. hegemony is targeted. So Traore is throwing off the shackles of neocolonialism. He's using Burkina Faso's resources to benefit the people of Burkina Faso. He's basically getting Burkina Faso out of the unfair, unequal treaties that they were signed, that were forced on them by France and other neo-colonial states. And he is more than anything else, he is inspiring the people. The one thing that the American imperialist system hates is the threat of a good example, right? This is why they have blockaded Cuba for over 60 years. This is why they attacked Grenada, because the very idea of a good example is enough to inspire them. So as many of us on here are aware of the American system of COINTELPRO, which was used against Black radicals in the 60s. One of their major things they were concerned about was the rise of a Black Messiah. Malcolm X, Kwame Ture, Martin Luther King, Huey P. Newton, Fred Hampton, right? All these brothers were marked for death, subversion. They were exiled from the country because of the threat they represented, which is somebody that the Black masses could organize and coalesce around, right? So what Traore represents is an awakening within the African masses who are sick and tired of the neo-colonial rule on their land, of their resource, of their people. They are sick and of seeing their people live in poverty while the people in the West live in luxury. And they live in the luxury of Africa's people, our soil, our blood, our sweat, our tears, right? So this is a system that can no longer be allowed to continue. And America, and because they see their dominance threatened, they are making overtures about, all of a sudden, it's not democratic, people don't have their rights, so on and so forth. This is not to be taken lightly, because we see what has happened whenever an African leader comes in who has the best interest of his people in mind. They will kill you. They will remove you from power. It happened to Lumumba. It happened to Thomas Sankara. It happened, the list goes on. Kwame Nkrumah got exiled. It happens so often. And African people are tired of our leaders being targeted for death for speaking out on behalf of our people. So America, United States, right now, is undergoing I want to say a counter revolution right now. This country is in turmoil. America can no longer maintain its position as the global hegemon anymore. The BRICS movement is challenging economically. China's economy is going to eclipse America if it has not already. And there's a backlash to that. And because of that backlash, America is now trying to assert itself. They want to still maintain their global power, but the world isn't the same as it was back in 1991. It's not the same as it was back in 1945. It's a new world. And we have to adjust, and they don't want to adjust. And they want to be able to put fear, to cow people, threaten people, sanction people, drone strike people into oblivion if necessary to maintain their control. This is the last gasp of a dying empire. And that's really what we're seeing. And our brother, Traore, I'm excited to see it. It makes me happy. I know that Africa will be free, right? Whenever we fight for our freedom, wherever we organize, we're going to win that freedom, right? So it's something that to me is, like I said, I'm heartened by the whole situation, but I'm under no illusions that this brother he's under threat. I mean, I think there was something that one of his bodyguards was offered $5 million to kill him, right? And he rejected it. So the idea of military intervention, I don't think America would put boots on the ground right now. But I definitely can see them using a proxy nation such as Nigeria, maybe even Kenya, to send in troops to assassinate this brother. All right. So I'm just happy to see the support. And again, I have to express my shock because I kept hearing Pan-Africanism isn't dead, and here we are. It's alive and well, and it always has been, and it's not going anywhere. And I think we need more of it, because we are in perilous times right now. We are in a situation where we are under attack from so many different directions. And I'm speaking of Black people in the United States. I'm talking about globally in the global South, in Caribbean, Latin America. We're in perilous times now. So I think when we're in these perilous times, we understand that we are what we got, and we need each other. So I'll stop there. Thank you.
Well done, Black Steel. Let's go to Anthony McPhail.
Hey, what's up? Can you hear me, Coco?
Yes, sir.
Okay, all right, man. First of all, I want to say peace to you, Coco, and how's the family doing, man? How your father doing?
He's maintaining. He's improving each day, it seems. So I'm hopeful.
That's great, man. That's great. And peace to the other brothers on the panel, man. I just like to say this, man. There was we seen hey, big up to our brothers and sisters in Jamaica, man. I and I gonna always show up, man. I and I's gonna show up. You know what I'm saying? They gonna do it wherever. I mean, I was watching them do it in Jamaica. I was watching, and they led the movement in the UK too, man. I was checking out Kimbunga Media, Brother Shakara's site, man, and they showed out in the UK too, man. They had a big march in Paris, in France. I know Macron was shaking in his boots, man. Do you know about 500,000 brothers and sisters showed up in France? I mean, I don't know if y'all seen that video, man. 500,000. Look here, they had Paris on lockdown, man. I mean, it was so many black faces out there, man. It's a shame. And then also right here in several cities here in the Beast, in New York City, they had a great a great march. And in Detroit, the brother Dennis Boatwright, he led them on, and the major was there too, man. I got the video. I don't know. I didn't see it. I don't know how the major looked, but she was there. I talked to her. She said that she joined it. But they had a thing in Detroit too, man. It was just a beautiful thing, man. To see brothers and sisters from all over the black world, man, from all over the African world, showing up, for brother, not only for brother Ibrahim Traore and the people of Burkina Faso, but the AES. You know what I'm saying? From Niger and Mali. And it was just a beautiful thing, man. It was a beautiful thing. And I agree with the brother Blake still. Yeah, he still got to keep it. He got to still watch his back. But I don't think it's gonna be no American military. It ain't gonna be no Saddam Hussein shit. You know what I'm saying? The Saddam, you had a guy who they actually put in power, who was a thug. It didn't nobody really like him. They feared him over there in Iraq. Everybody in this country loved this brother, man. They love Traore, man. They love him. You got people, man. They had people from here and from everywhere, the Caribbean. They were saying, man, we want to join the Burkina Faso army. No, we want to lay outside of the palace. You know what I'm saying? We're going to do whatever we got to do to make sure that we protect him. And of course, like you got these little lackeys like the leadership in Cote d'Ivoire, it always been a leadership of coons right there. In other countries, in several other countries, who some of these coons sell out Negroes, being propped up by the West. But it's over with though, man. It's over. It's the beginning of the end for Western imperialism. You know what I'm saying? For American imperialism, for the French, all of that. It's over with. It's over with, man. It's gonna be over with because this is gonna spread. It's gonna spread to everybody else. The other people gonna get tired. Other people in other neighboring countries in Africa, they getting tired of it because they seeing what this brother could do. You know how us as black people do. We make a whole bunch out of a little bit, man. You know what I'm saying? And they gonna see it. They getting tired, and we got some of these old fence sitters like the government in Guinea. I was surprised that the All African People Revolutionary Party didn't get down with it in Guinea-Conakry. They sent them. I didn't see them doing too much, but it's time. You got to make a choice, man. You're gonna have to get out the fence. You're gonna either be for it or you're gonna be against it, man. You gonna get with us or you gonna lay down. And and unfortunately, someone gonna have to lay down. But it's over with though, man. Africa is going to be free. We know it ain't free yet. We still got a ways to go, but it's gonna happen though, man. It's gonna happen. And President Traore, he took the baton from Sankara and from Kwame Nkrumah and from Patrice Lumumba and from all of the brothers who came before him. You know what I'm saying? And we don't know. Maybe he have to hand it off to somebody else one day. But it's gonna happen though, man. It's a beautiful thing, man. And I land my plane right there, man. It's a beautiful thing, man. I was real happy. I think I went out and bought. I couldn't go to a march because we didn't have one in this area, but I went and bought me a Traore T-shirt though. You know what I'm saying? And I communicate with some of the other brothers and sisters that I know, man. In social media, man. It was a great thing, man. I'll knock off right there.
Good stuff there, Anthony. In the chat, Trigger Happy 266 I'm sorry, I'm stumbling because I can hear my own voice. He says, "Do you know what I love about this moment? It's not an incident that is in my Pan-African circle. Other Black people who may be deemed laymen are paying attention to this too." Shout out to Daily Affirmations by Pauline, saying good evening. And shout out to Brother Bakari, who's saying peace and Black African power. With that said, you mentioned Guinea. I guess Jose heard you. Jose, how are you this week?
Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, good evening. Good evening to you and good evening, panel. I hope everybody is doing okay. Yes, the manifestations, right? The 30th of April. question: Did it make it to mainstream media? I'm kind of disconnected. Did anyone see it on mainstream media?
They talked about it in New York. I don't know about the other areas like Florida and
No,
stuff like that.
no, they didn't hear about it in mainstream media. Everything in mainstream media right now is Trump, Trump, Trump.
Okay, so absolutely nothing national.
Just
Internet.
real quickly, yes, it did hit mainstream media like AP News reported it, Business Insider Africa reported it, etc. But if you're expecting that to reach the United States, that's a fantasy. The United States internal media barely touched it, but who cares who the fuck they say? What matters is that in the world sense, it did reach the medias and it disseminated from that point on to the actions that we've seen just a few days ago. So.
Well, I think it is important because it's information that just the yes or no is an information. Did they or did they not report it? Why? Because I have this we have to stay cautious, right? Because no, we are not Iraq, but Iraq had tanks. Hundreds, maybe even thousands. Iraq had helicopters and jets and shit and rockets. And Burkina, I mean, AES is not there yet. But there was also a report. So I'm taking it strategically, right? Was it in mainstream media or not? In combination with the following, there was also a report that Trump suggested that to close all embassies or American embassies on the continent, and I was like, okay, wait a minute. So this Africom general has said something. It has started, and coincidentally, somebody suggested to close all embassies, and I thought, okay, we are predictable because if they do something, if they act and take down Traore, you already know all over Africa, embassies are going to be attacked, right? So that's where the question comes from. Did was it reported or not? And yeah, I have another angle. I'm kind of annoying on X. I'll be on X all day. And I saw something. It was somebody shared it. Somebody shared some manifestations, and I saw Hands Off Africa, and I thought, wait, you're an immigrant, you're in Europe, and you say hands off Africa, but your hands are off Africa too, right? So I thought, like, yeah, since you're marching, march all the way to the continent. Let's go. Let's go. Manifest. Thank you.
I feel you on that. With that said, let's hear from Ditso.
Well, thank you so much for having me once again. I appreciate it. Hello, everyone on the panel. I'm going to phrase it in this way. One, I would consider that everybody in this panel is like myself, that we are critics to the impacts of United States foreign policy. Let's stop calling it America, because I'm also American, but I haven't done fuck to fuck around. I live my life in my area and I do my best in that sense. So let's start by there. Let's stop conversing on imperialist terms and let's start talking on correct terms. That's an observation I wanted to make to phrase on this sense. This situation with Irama Teore, and I apologize if I bastardize his name. I will try to pronounce it as best possible with the limitations of languages that I speak. Look, I have a different perspective. Imperialism is not broken with more military. Imperialism and neocolonialism is not broken by continuing a focus, an imperial-centric focus of retelling history, of analyzing history, of understanding that history. It is not done by repeating systematically age-old formulas that have, to give an example, revolutions that end in the hands of Robespierre type of figures. And this example does require for people who are listening to know a little bit of what I am referring to. And I'm referring to the French Revolution, first French Revolution on 11/7/84, which at the end of that revolution of 11/7/84 or 1784, if you keep on using Gregorian calendar, ended up in the hands of Robespierre, which then was disposed, and then it entered the era of Napoleon. Understanding that knowledge, we can then make another case, for example, on the revolution of 6 years that happened in Cuba with Fidel Castro and Che Guevara and Camilo Cienfuegos. We can also denote what happened after that era in that sense. Whereas we can agree that the bullshit embargo that United States established in Cuba effectively was not effective in any way, only in fucking up more Cubans and not being able to live in the country and do what they just wanted to do, live cool. And if people decided, Fidel Castro, you've been in power too long, get the fuck out, that's up to the Cubans to decide, as much as each person in each country is to decide what best course of action they take. Self-determination, the respect of self-determination. Just like the gringos have elected Donald Trump, who's an asshole, who's an idiotic imbecile, but that's their choice. Except their choice is now fucking us all around. And I'm sorry for my explicit French in that sense. So I come from a culture that, for example, last 75 years in my country, Costa Rica, we're living under the Second Republic, the second iteration of that republic. And how we came about this second iteration was precisely because of coup. An election that was contested in 49 and created a 7-8 months coup and civil war internally in my country, which was then resolved very interestingly how it was done, how it was finished, how we sat down and said, can we stop killing each other and see how the hell we're going to figure this whole mess out? And we kind of did. Good things, bad things, middle things that happened on the new constitution that's been active since 49. I lived through the attempted coup, the second attempted coup of Hugo Chavez to Carlos Andrés Pérez in Venezuela. And I was there in Caracas. I lived through an attempted military coup. Militaries do not make great leaders. Militaries make great oppressors. Militaries are a terroristic organization, an anti-freedom, anti-democratic, anti-everything that we can stand for. And if we think that a military, and yes, I am talking in a very biased sense because that's the culture I was brought up in. I was brought up in two different cultures, one that had military and the other one had abolished military. And if you ask me, I prefer the culture 10 times that abolished military because it was the correct move to do. So at this point, yes, I'm happy that people are standing up, including the movements that happen throughout all Latin America and different parts of the world. Also on the 1st of May, which is traditionally the celebration of Labor Day or Workers' Day throughout the majority part of the world. But at the same time, I cannot help but to feel the unease that using and manipulating the fight of anti-imperialism and United States hegemony on the world over the last almost 80 years without a base and an understanding why that hegemony came to be, why has it been so detrimental to our lives, and why it needs to go away. But when it goes away, what comes afterwards is also required. We cannot think on a linear thought. We have to think on multidimensional space. So in this sense, and with this I land my plane, it's great that people mobilize, but sometimes we have to understand that mobilizations do not mean change. They only mean manifestation of something. And whether it's positive, negative, and anything in between depends on the factors, internal, external, and everything around that. So it's difficult for me to even applaud a man such as Traore, not because he may say things that I have great of an agreement on in regards to the effects, the detrimental effects of imperialism, but because what he represents. A man of military that uses the force to take out another power, history has taught us that they become the tyrants, and sometimes worse or equal as the ones that they disposed. With that, I land.
So, I heard what you said. My thing is, my grandfather used to say something. He said, "Experience teaches knowledge." So I get that you have hesitations because of what past military, folks who came up through military power, through coups and whatnot. I get that, but I don't see where Traore is showing the same pattern. In fact, every other day when I look at the news, the news via social media, of course, Traore is building. He's adding to the lives of the people in his country and in his region. So I'll just like to ask you, like, what is it that you've seen? I'm not talking about what history has kind of given us. I'm asking you, what have you seen from him? Or have you seen anything from him that makes you think he's just par for the course?
So, April 19th, 2 years ago.
Go ahead, Ditso.
Yeah. Hold on. Did I mute? Okay, no, I thought I was muted. One thing which I did study on this sense, 2 years ago on April 19th, he signed a decree establishing general mobilization warning that gave him broad powers to abridge individual rights in the so-called or shrouded in the interest of fighting terrorist groups. But then it was such broad that, just like what Bukele did with his big jail, we know Bukele arrested over 8,000 people who had no affiliation with gangs, and he sent them to jail. And he admitted to that in my country, openly. He said, oops, we fucked up. We sent 8,000 people who were innocent, who had nothing to do with gangs. Oh, but we're releasing them now. Oopsie, type of thing. When that type of broad generalization of abridging individual rights becomes a norm, it usually leads to tyranny. There are reports coming out from Burkina Faso of arbitrary and unlawful killings, extrajudicial killings, enforced disappearance, torture, or cruel and inhuman and degrading treatment or punishments. I'm not saying right now that that's 100%, but we should not ignore those reports. They should not be brushed aside. They should be looked at in the most, should I dare say the term, as impartial as possible we can. Because if we turn a blind eye and this report's result 100% true of the actions of arbitrary arrests or detentions, of torture and cruel and inhuman, degrading treatment and punishment, extrajudicial killings, etc., what's different from the imperialists that have done exactly the same?
Well,
So
I'll just say this. Let's not put the cart before the horse. Let's allow Ibrahim Traore to do what he's been doing. There's always going to be reports of this, especially in the West. I mean, next he'll tell me he's stealing the gold from the people, right? Like, let's be positive about the positive things he's doing. In the meantime, all right. But let me go on to another panelist. In the meantime, I think I got I think it's just one I have left to go to, and then we'll have a follow-up thing I'm going to do on this topic, and everyone will have a chance to speak some more. But Buana, what are your thoughts on this whole discussion?
Yes. Okay. So, Ditto, can you hear me? Ditto?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay.
Sorry,
I thought Ditto analysis was an excellent one. As a matter of fact, I thought Ditto analysis was a very sober one. And I don't know if Ditto is speaking from the perspective as a legally trained person, because if he is a legally trained person, we are always squeamish when we hear of things when it comes to the suppression of rights in countries, and also context matters. I think that Anthony talked about this last week. Context matters. Okay? Now, he is a military man. That is a fact. And so was Museveni in Uganda. And so is Kagame in Rwanda. And so is, I think Mobutu was the head of the army at the time when he overthrew Lumumba. And I understand his squeamishness in watching the situation, because he does not want the rights of regular people to be suppressed within that country, with the face of it being, oh, we are just trying to practice Pan-Africanism and protect ourselves against the onslaught of the West. This is something that was done by Mugabe. Mugabe was suffering many people in Zimbabwe, and then his excuse for it was, okay, it's the West who creating all these dramas, so we have to enforce these rules to ensure that, you know, we're gonna let me finish.
Sure. Sorry. Go ahead. Sorry.
To ensure that we're gonna maintain the rights of Zimbabwe citizens. But I would say this to the other side of that argument. So, when you have enemies at your door, which is Western enemies, which is enemies, African enemies, people from Cote d'Ivoire, people them trying to destabilize and undermine your country, then you may have to suppress certain civil rights. If you have internal enemies, because remember now, this guy came into power via a coup. So I'm sure many members who were deposed in that coup, they're upset about that. They feel a way about that. They want their jobs back. They want their position back. And that means, come in. That means they may do, hold on for a second. No sweat. That means they may be willing. Means they may be willing to kill or harm for that sport back. So that means he may have to suppress certain ideas in that country. And I know you don't like that, but even in America, and I don't want to use their country because it's a different country. Even Abraham Lincoln during the Civil War, he had to suppress certain ideas within the Constitution. If he didn't suppress certain rights, in particular habeas corpus, you may not have the America that you know. maybe America would look like Mississippi right now. Well, it's looking like that, but you have to do certain things when internal enemies is at your door and external enemies is at your door. And I understand the legal theoreticians within the room may find that to be squeamish, but you got to do what you got to do, brother. And context matters. So you can't take the context out of that picture and say, well, these guys trying to kill me. You know what I mean? My people are having to sleep in the road at my house because they know any minute, one bullet may change this whole revolution. So you have to do certain things within the country. Context matters. But I understand your argument, though. You don't want that to be used as to create a jackboot society where people are knocking you over the head and say, well, you're going to do it our way anyways. But I personally think that Traore is trying to work himself out of this rule as leader. I think that he wants to give his country back to as far as civilian leadership, but that'll take some time. That's going to take some time because structurally I see him trying to restructure his society in a way where you have to train people correctly. So although I understand your perspective, I would say there's another side to that argument in why he is doing the things that he is doing as a military man. I'll leave it there for you. I did so.
Just real quickly in this sense, in the future, we have to have this conversation in regards to this broad terms that people are using. There's no such thing as the West. Let's be clear on that. What do I mean by that? I mean this imperialist umbrella to refer to the United States hegemony and its alliance with the NATO and Europe has created a complete and utter distortion of reality. When you speak about the West, understanding that Western Hemisphere in the last 200, 250 years was the area where we showed through 300 years of resistance that the end of colonialism was possible. And that then widespread into, for example, in Africa, the first two countries that became technically independent were South Africa and Liberia. South Africa with 215 years right now. 115 years right now with South Africa. And Libya was, 1847 or 11847? But then the majority of Africa became independent very recent, from 51 up to the 80s. So the youngest country to be independent is approximately 40 years old. So why do I bring this up? Because one thing that is certain, and this last 200 and 250 years where the switch and the change happened from that hegemony of the European hegemony that had happened, and then it landed into this situation where kind of like the hegemony of the European was continuously dying. Then World War I happened. Then that 30 years of interwar, and then boom, Second World War ended, and what happened? The thing settled into the hegemony of the United States. Understanding that, and understanding those recent events of the last 80 years, added into the last 200 and 250, well, part of those 200 and 250, we come to understand that the construction of freedom and the construction of independence and self-determination is not a straight one. Never has been. To justify the actions of oppression because of the actions of rebelling and winning that rebellion, the world ends up with more Robespierres than anything else.
Yeah, I don't see that. I don't see that. And you know what? African, Black people and Europeans, we have developed along completely different lines, right? Robespierre, yeah, he took control. Yeah, he executed a lot of people to maintain control of the French Revolution. Yeah, whatever. I understand. I know the history. I teach the history. Um, but African nations have never had a chance to develop. You know, um, these European nations, United States, once they got their independence from Great Britain, they was able to declare neutrality and build their economy and create protective tariffs. When Haiti got independent, Haiti had immediately defended itself from another invasion by France. Um, because African people, because we're constantly under attack, right? So it's a hard stretch when you want to compare somebody like Bulele and whatever the fuck, how you say his name in El Salvador. Um, I understand he has some challenges that he had to deal with. Traore, Burkina Faso is one of the poorest nations in the world. This is a nation that has been under constant attack. And when they have organized for liberation under Thomas Sankara, Sankara was assassinated by one of his best friend. So it's any wonder that these people are rallying around this man because of the history they've experienced, right? African people are in a state of war. We cannot forget that, right? And this is not to make excuse for dictatorships or whatever, but he's from what everything I've seen, he has the mass support of his people, right? I'm a people person. I am. I really truly support the people. If the people are rallying behind him, if the people are inspired by his example, right, I'm gonna support him. Yeah, is he perfect? Absolutely not. Is there some things maybe he might have made mistakes on? True. But if he is nationalizing and using the resources of Burkina Faso, while we were talking, I looked up on the line. They're making an alliance with Morocco to have access to the Atlantic Ocean. So now this is spreading. This is getting other African nations on board, right? This is something, yeah, you might look at it cautiously, and there's nothing wrong with being cautious about it, right? But we have to have revolutionary optimism. We have to believe that we can win. What did Garvey say? Garvey said something I always love this saying. He said, without confidence, you are already defeated. With confidence, you cannot fail in the race of life, or something like that. But if we don't have the idea that if we don't do things a particular way, we're not going to have it done because of what they're doing in other countries. Gaddafi was a military leader, was absolutely, but Gaddafi made Libya the richest country in Africa. Fidel Castro was a military leader. Fidel Castro actually put boots on the ground for African liberation. So I mean, we just have to look at things on a case-by-case basis. I'm optimistic about it.
Just to conclude on that point, and I guess that it's important. I can recognize the growing pains of freedom. I think everybody here, and you just mentioned them. Yes. At the end, what is going to happen in Burkina Faso is Burkina Faso. And that is something that me on the other side of the ocean will respect and can do so, as well as expect to be respected on our own particular self-determinations. Yes. Hopefully, the observation that I'm giving that actually is you yourself recognize and everybody can recognize is a somber one, is well based on historical facts, on historical analysis, on that point of projection that one can make sociologically, ontologically, epistemologically, whatever and however you want to approach it. But at the end, fine, we can agree. And we can agree that hands off Burkina Faso. They have all the right in the world to either succeed or fuck it up. But when they fuck it up, what are we going to do? If the shit hits the fan, what are we gonna do? And how are we gonna do it?
Well, we got to be optimistic.
Of course, I'm a pessimist because I've lived through sufficient things to see and have that. That does not mean that I'm entirely pessimistic. I can understand the grades of optimism that one could have. Cross the fingers and hope everything works out, type of thing. I can understand that. But in my own, not in my own, because it's not mine. In the confluence of history, in the continuity of that necessary elements of the continuity of history as itself, it teaches us to always have those grades of reservations in those type of matters. Voices like mine become voices that tell people to hold on. It's fine if you feel you can support Traore, that's your feeling, and it's acknowledgeable. But don't mix optimism with a cult of personality, because if you do, then you start falling into the whole terrains. You mentioned Fidel Castro. I met him, and politically that system was one of the things that influenced me so much in the matters of having those grades of reservation against those type of military groups. In that sense, that was one of them. So I say the cost of freedom is the necessary. The cost of freedom is the necessary compromise with maintaining that freedom.
All right, did so.
Well,
in the meantime, I like to practice Afro optimism, and I think many of us here do as well.
Optimism, I like that.
Right, and I know Jose wanted to say something. Jose, Give me 1 second. Let me introduce Jacadero. Jacadero, how are you this week?
Peace and blessings. I'm in a great mood, man. What's going on?
Good. You sound like it. Jacadero, I'm going to have you give your thoughts in 1 second. Let Jose give his thought, and then you go.
Absolutely.
What I wanted to add to the previous speaker is not in a pessimistic way, but this revolution needs to spread. For example, we need the West or Europe and North America. We need them either on their knees or in a revolution or whatever for us to for this to succeed. If you know what I mean, because I mean the perpetrators are here. They are here in Europe and in North America. So I guess something needs to happen that has them on their knees for quite a while, if you know what I mean. Sidelined or whatever, maybe another industrial tribal war or whatever. But I'm optimistic about that. I think it's going to happen. So it's like I said, it's not pessimistic. Thanks.
Jacadero?
It's interesting because the usually on this panel I'm the only contrarian. so the fact that we've already had a contrarian, it took me by surprise. But this is something that I don't feel that needs a contrary take. One, this is awesome. I've been saying this since day one, I especially I emphasized on how awesome this is. I believe last week when we were on a prompt about the new vehicles, I believe electric vehicles that Wodamaya was showcasing on his channel from Burkina Faso, and how it upset me because every achievement that the Sahel countries, Niger, Mali, and Burkina Faso that are having, I'm wondering why my parents' country of Kenya are not doing the exact same things earlier in the 62-63 year history. I loved how the rally, at least online, the online presence was major. Even some of my family members that I didn't think that paid attention to news in the African world were reposting the issues pertaining to Burkina Faso and the perceived threat. I say perceived because anytime that I see anything coming from any governments, the best thing to do is to also go to the government official website and see the official press release. For those of us that love journalism, that do everything that they can to get the truth, always go for the official press release. I understand that, they might mince their words, I get it. But when the government says something officially, it's usually officially, it's a statement that's directly from them. It's straight from the horse's mouth. So, and then one thing that really, really showcased the United States is, I guess, I don't know if it's I don't know what to call it, but it showcased that they have an eye on the Sahel countries, and specifically they're aware about how Ibrahim Traore is being perceived on the worldwide stage. This Michael Langley character had stated that he was suspicious on the gold reserves in the country, and he's curious if it's being used for Captain Ibrahim's private affairs or personal affairs. When the hell has the United States ever cared about potential corrupt politicians?
That's what I said.
Like, come on, Koku. When the hell have you ever been concerned? There was a recent, I believe back in November, there was a recent list that was put out. I forget from which outlet, but it's a, and I believe, I wouldn't be surprised if it was a Northern Data Group, but they pointed out, and I don't remember what metrics that they had used, but they highlighted the top 10 corrupt countries of the world. 7 of them were in Africa. Did the United States ever say, hey, let's go and investigate corruption or potential corruption in those countries? No, you don't care. You don't care. So since you don't care about that, why would you care about a potential corruption issue in Burkina Faso? Because you don't care. This is really, I know this next thing it's going to sound like a reach, but I'm going to try to bring it home. Michael Langley is concerned about the gold reserves in Burkina Faso and how it's being used, whether it's being used publicly or privately for personal matters. And it's funny because to relate, and it might sound like a stretch, but there was an American football player, Shedeur Sanders, recently that was expected to go and be picked among the first round of college athletes. And he was selected later on, I believe, in the 5th round. Nonetheless, the criticism about him on the internet was that, whenever he appears in public, he tries to show off too much by wearing his jewelry. And I remember one black, I'm not going to even name him just because sometimes, he makes me pretty upset. But there was a black commentator on YouTube saying hey, black people, isn't it time that we get away from rocking and showcasing all this jewelry? It's funny because when we want to be taken serious, some of us get told why do you rock so much jewelry? As a home inspector, again, that's my 9 to 5. It's oftentimes I have to get into an attic, and you guys would be impressed to find out that homes that are built before 1980, the attic accesses, and especially in the Midwest homes, are through the master bedroom closets. And what's in the master bedroom's closets? It's usually the jewelry box or the jewelry cases of these homes that are owned by white citizens. So we can tell our young youth, like, don't rock jewelry. That's uncouth of you. But yet, hey, if you look at some of these people's closets, jewelry boxes, especially the bank, I can only imagine on I think it's the safety deposits. I think that's what the term is. And you can see the amount of jewelry that is being stashed away. Sure, they don't rock it out in public, but nonetheless, like, people are people like make no mistake about it. You know, the West is out for these precious minerals. So I say all that to say, like, this was awesome to see. Pan-Africanists everywhere. You're doing a great job, and such a great job that people like Michael Langley is trying to insinuate that there was potential corruption going on with an awesome guy. I love, Koku, how you pointed out, like, let's look at the accomplishments. Just the fact that nuclear power is somebody asked if I break it to homes. I'll never tell you. I'll never tell. You know what I'm saying? That's the great part about this. I'll never tell you. But where was I going? I think I lost my train of thought. But nonetheless, this is great. The accomplishments that Ibrahim Traore has accomplished is great. It should be celebrated. Pan-Africanists worldwide, you're doing your thing. Continue to do so.
Appreciate that, Jacadero. So I'm just gonna point this out real briefly. Again, I believe in Afro optimism. But I have to mention that because it came up earlier, I think we saw this video before. This guy, Comrade Mafioso, I thought I blocked him too. But he says Jamaicans are protesting for the African country Burkina Faso and its president Ibrahim Traore. Jamaican citizens say that if the U.S. attacked Burkina Faso, it's an act of war against Africa and Jamaica. And that if any Americans vacationing in Jamaica, better be careful. So there's some people, let me make sure you guys can see you guys can see it. There's some folks who are saying salute to Jamaica and it's Ibrahim Traore, get it right. There's some people who say they think Jamaica needs to make it clear as to which Americans they're referring to, because that can easily be taken as a threat to Black Americans as well. Someone says Jamaicans always try to get active, and it always ends in them getting some act right soon after. They know what it is when it comes to Black Americans. Can't speak for the other Americans, though. They might actually be in danger. Someone said, raise your hand if you ever heard of the place before. Someone said Jamaicans are in America too. So, I can't find all of the negative tweets, but
I know what you're saying. I've
the
seen
idea
way
is
worse.
that some of in particular, because I don't want to castigate all Black Americans, but the FBA ADOS types, those are the ones who I could see being pro-America here. I just want to get brief thoughts. Please be brief. I want to get brief thoughts from panelists who would like to speak on it. How should we, as Pan-Africanists, view and even deal with the fact that we have some Askari Black Americans who are going to be on the side of America if there's an intervention? How do we really deal with that, or is there anything you can do about it? Anyone can answer in any order.
Real quick, as someone whose ancestors, who live within the borders of the United States of America, you got to realize FBA is mostly online, right? They're not a real movement. They're not out here doing really anything. they talk a big game because they're agents mostly. Most of it's bots. There's a lot of it's CIA. Maybe one or two of them really believe it, but the majority of FBA is not real. And I think that even when we talk about them, we give them more weight than they really carry. I can tell you right now, most Black Americans are opposed to United States foreign policy, and we always have been. I think maybe around the time of Obama, you start to see more Black people supporting U.S. foreign policy. But if you go back and study the history, going back to even the Spanish American War, Black people were outspoken against the United States intervening in places like Cuba, in the Philippines. You had Black Americans actually leaving the United States military and going up and linking up with the Filipinos to fight against U.S. military. There was a time where the military was afraid to give Black soldiers weapons because they were afraid they would turn them against them. There was something during the Vietnam War, they used to call it fragging, where they would throw a grenade into the commanding officer's tent to protest against his orders. A lot of Black soldiers did that, a lot. So FBA is not, I don't want to say they're not real, but they're not the menace that we think they are. They got bigger fish to fry. Trump is out here cutting funding for HBCUs. He's taking exhibits out to Smithsonian. FBA got their hands full with worrying about the stuff that Trump is doing, and I'm sorry, the Trump administration is doing, than worrying about what's going on in Burkina Faso.
Any other thoughts on this?
I think that
Yes.
I think go ahead.
Yeah, I was about to say something.
Juana and then Jose.
Okay.
And then it's
I think that the Americans, black or white, should be nationalistic to their country. Me personally, I don't require every American person who may be black like me to be a Pan-African. That's just not reality. You know what I mean? So I expect them to be nationalistic. I think that some Americans, even if they are not Pan-Africanists, they walk like a thin line, because yes, you could be patriotic, but yes, you could also sympathize for communities that look like you outside of the United States of America. So it's like, what do you do in that situation? You know, I think that Black Steel mentioned the Black Americans who fought for the Filipinos. There was a group of Black people who fought for France. I think they called it Harlem Hellfighters. Harlem Hellfighters. They ended up fighting on the side of France because America wasn't acting right. You know what I mean? So it's like, what do you do when people invading, when you have orders, if you're in the military, if you have orders to invade places like West Africa, what do you do in that scenario? What does Michael Langley do? Even if in his heart he want to do something that is progressive for Black people, he is a soldier at the end of the day. He's been working for the U.S. military for 40 years. I think that this is one of Afro think tank's arguments. He's like, you know, what do you do in that scenario? It's like, is he gonna throw it all away, throw away his pension, throw away the ability to provide for his family for saying something against America's interests? I don't know. I mean, so they are in a very difficult catch-22 situation. You know what I mean? So I don't know. I understand that they have to walk a very thin line, but for the people who declare themselves as Pan-Africans, there's a different mission in mind and a different ambition in mind. They could be who they are. They don't have to necessarily walk that fence. Because if you talk to Anthony or Brother Bakari, you talking about what do you call it? African American, he'll look at you like you freaking crazy. He's like, my friend, I'm an African person. I may have been born in America, but I'm an African person. They'll get very upset at you. You run that FBA African American nonsense at them. So I guess it depends on who you speaking to. So I don't know. I just understand that they have to walk a very thin line, man. So I feel for them and when they have to do that. But I'll let someone else go.
Real quick, Bakari in the chat says, follow orders, go to West Africa, and join the Africans. That's what he should do. That's what they should do. Jose, and then did so.
Yeah, indeed. You know, how should I say this? I am sorry that it is a person. You know, it is a face, a general, and I believe a Ghanaian female. I've seen two pictures. Our guy and a sister in military clothing and all those extras, the extra that we do when the enemy, quote unquote, is a black face. It's so suspicious. And on the other side, the FBAs, I've seen worse than what you just shown. Like yeah, that's threats. Like oh, now it's on. Look how they speak of our general. Like you know, so that's one. I'm sorry that it's a person, because the enemy is Africom, quote unquote, aka USA. It's not the brothers in the military. Now we're the opposite of FBA. We're going to focus on the black members of the US Army, USA Africa Command. If you know what I mean. So let I wish the focus was not at him and her, but at Africom. And more knowledge is spread, because it's easy to hate a blackface. You understand that, right? And the other angle of it is we are look at the content that we make, because we are the media now. You know, it's okay. It's Elon Musk's tool, and the other Jew owns Facebook, and it's his tool. No, we are creating, even in the comments, we're creating content, right? My style is maybe over the edge sarcasm, right? So imagine if you see my X wall, t- take it as dark humor, right? Uh, uh, but it's content. It is content, right? So when we yeah, I mean, I'm guilty in those battles with FBA, but it is content, right? I in the back of my head, I'm conscious of me creating content, but sometimes they hit sensitive snare, and yeah, then you snare back, right? But it is content, and it's ugly. We are ugly in on social media, and yeah, that's it.
Did so?
Well, I guess I'm going to be contrarian tonight. I guess I'll be taking that role.
But be a little brief for me tonight, okay?
Yeah, I'll be as brief as I can. I'm just going to say it this way. It's a case-by-case scenario. Sure, there are black or Afro-descendants U.S. citizens who will support and who have grades of consciousness. I just don't see an hegemonic response from the whole of the community favorable. You'll have a series of you know varying opinions in that sense. So my experience with U.S. citizens in a almost general way has been that their pride and their self-perceived exceptionalism blinds them to understand the nuances of reality, and they become either megaphones for idiocy or repetitions for propaganda. With exceptions, yes, there are individuals who are not like that, but I do consider them the few. So, again, the grades of pessimism of my political pessimism based on the knowledge I've acquired and lived through also dictates to me, sure, a few may, but in a broader sense, I don't see it.
Appreciate that, Dit. So, you guys can hear me, right?
Yeah, we can hear you fine.
All right, cool. Good discussion, everyone. Timely discussion. I think we should definitely be optimistic, and I think while we have no current reasons to be pessimistic, I think we should support Traore and the Sahel Alliance, and we should do whatever we can. If it's to raise awareness, if it's to attend protests, if it's to create protests of our own, if it's to put out propaganda, positive propaganda, that's what I think we should be doing. And I think one of the things we should also do, very importantly, I think we should resist. Full stop. Just resist. All right. With that said, let's go to Shoot the Breeze topic number 2 tonight. Shoot the Breeze topic number 2 says a message to the warrior class. This is going to take us to a post on X that I saw earlier myself. This is from Tassetti Reloaded 2. And he says, I support this message. Let's see if you guys will support it or not as well.
Of all the videos that I make on the internet, this is definitely the one that is going to get me locked up by the police. This is definitely the one that is going to have the FBI come find me. But I made a video a while ago that went viral where I said the fundamental difference between the black man and the white man is, ask the white man what he's willing to do for his people. He'll tell you he's willing to kill anyone for it. Ask the black man what he's willing to do for his people. He'll tell you he's willing to die for it. Just like this comment. How about you stop dying for your people, stop dying for Ibrahim Traore, and start killing for that nigga? How about that? Because think about it, right? Your mentality right now is you are willing to go to Africa to die for Ibrahim Traore. If you truly want to save Africa and Africans, you want to help Ibrahim Traore, don't die for him. Kill for him. And the reason I'm saying the FBI and CIA is going to come find me is, it's simple. America decides they want to go after Ibrahim Traore. Don't go to Africa. Stay in America and kill the children of the people who will benefit from the death of Ibrahim Traore. The General Langley that said he's going to go to Africa to liberate, let him go to Africa to fight Ibrahim Traore. Let us make sure that when he comes back to America, he's coming back to bury every last family member he has. Yes, so what I'm saying is, if Ibrahim, right now, say Ibrahim Traore, Burkina Faso, there's war, America goes there. What are the companies, what are the names of the companies that will benefit the most from the war? Find everyone on the board of directors of the company, kill their children. Who are the senators and the congressmen that approved for the war in Burkina Faso? Who approved for the rest of Burkina Faso or whatever? Find the congressmen, find the senators, find their children, kill them. You have to start killing. So that's it. If you watch Game of Thrones, is it Game of Thrones? Yeah, Game of Thrones. There's a part where he says, not Game of Thrones, the second one. There's a part where he says the whole point of violence is to convince the other guy that violence against you is a bad idea. And they've done it so much that all we can think about is dying. While they're thinking about killing us for our shit, we're thinking about dying. No. Let's think about killing too. If you remember last year when I used to do lives a lot on TikTok, I used to say it. I said I lost a lot of respect for Congolese men because all this war, murder in their country, all they want to do is shake their waist and dress nice and complain. No. Go look up the mining companies that are responsible for the cobalt. All these wars in your country, look at the companies responsible for them. Look at the board of directors. Kill their children.
people will start to think twice if they have to worry about the safety of their families.
Real quickly, I just want to confirm or deny. Did that clip freeze for you guys on the panel? Or were you able to see it? Because to me, I was able to see the whole thing on my phone. Did it freeze for you guys?
I saw it completely.
Okay. All right. Let me just see what the comments under such a video had to say. Thanks for answering that question, Jackadero. Brother Legend says there's a video where a white woman calls a 5-year-old autistic black boy the N-word. She raised over 100K on GoFundMe. But if I call a white child a bitch-ass cracker, unprovoked, even black people would say I was wrong. Someone named Cy Marcus says this why the law of Talion exists. If you do me, I do you. It's that simple. We shouldn't be always on the defensive. Time to be on the offensive. David Hundayan says, seem fair to me. African Lives Matter says the battle must be joined. Fire must fight fire, fist to fist. The psychologically bleached, deaf, dumb, and blind black male, unfortunately, only directs his frustration and aggression towards those who look like him. Someone said, damn, damn, damn. He said the quiet part out loud. Lastly, someone says, we support this message. I saw this right after I had a thought. So I was looking at all these protests in support of Traore, and I looked at the masses in some of these places, and I said, wouldn't it be something if all of those people were armed? And then I saw this message, which was, I guess you could say, right up my alley. But I think that's the important thing, too. I think going out and protesting is usually walking in circles. But it'll be something else if we could see a great number, if not everyone in these protests, armed and willing to, as our brother Anthony mentioned earlier in the first prompt, armed or willing to be armed or willing to go to Burkina Faso and be armed. And not just to die for Traore, but to delete folks who would try to harm him, his people, which is our people, and the alliance. So that's something I did think about when I saw this video, and I'm curious to see what the rest of you thought of the message being given here. I'll start with, I guess he left. No, I'll start with Jose. Jose, what say you to this?
Well, I guess it's not. He is on point with saying no, don't go to Africa. Why? Because the top is here in Europe. Old money in Europe and new money in the United States, Australia, South Africa. You know, so where are they? That's where the killing should happen. If we wanted to stop, it will. You know, if the head of the top goes off, everybody knows what time it is. If the head of a foot soldier goes off, it's just war, or yeah, whatever that they will call it, terrorism or whatever attack, rebels. You understand what I mean? No, do the killing here in Europe at the top. Yeah, he's got a strong point. But question: who of us, because I noticed we don't understand the danger, and maybe I'm speaking for myself, but I don't know if I'm able to kill children. But these creatures,
unalive.
Unalive. These creatures, they didn't recognize us as humans, or and worse than animals, because they love their cats and dogs. But yeah, they will unalive our children and us, just like that. So question to the panel: are you able to enter the house of a mogul and clean out the house, so to speak? Yeah, are you able?
I'll allow folks to answer that as they feel. I will say this though, in terms of warfare, there's specialties, and some people that will be their specialty. I would say that. But with that said, thanks, Joseph. With that said, let me mix it up a little bit. Let me hear from Buana on this next. Buana, what's it?
Yeah, I think that he is speaking in the language of a military person. And if I was him, I would speak to a person like Brother Bakari, who's been in the military and has training in these kinds of things. Or I would speak to a person like Afro Think Tank. See, let me say something. The country of Saudi Arabia congratulated Ibrahim Traore and said that we want to put a bunch of mosques inside your country. He said that Burkina Faso don't need mosques. You know, we could pray anywhere. He said that what Burkina Faso needs is hospitals. What Burkina Faso needs is schools. If we put a bunch of people who are willing to kill or unalive people in Burkina Faso, then that's exactly what we'll have in Burkina Faso, a bunch of unalivers. And I'm thinking maybe Burkina Faso have other kinds of needs, not just unaliving, people who will still be patriotic, but their skill set is other than just being a military-minded kinds of person. Burkina Faso needs doctors. Can you be a revolutionary doctor and contribute to Burkina Faso and still be patriotic to the country? See, some people don't realize that a doctor is just as patriotic as a military soldier. You know, in Fidel Castro, what is his name? Che Guevara. Che Guevara was just as revolutionary in treating patients in Cuba as he was with a gun in his hand. He was just as patriotic and just as effective. So everyone has a different skill. So does Burkina Faso need a bunch of people with guns in their hand ready to shoot it at any colonizer they see? No, Burkina Faso needs development. That's warrior too. That's developing the country to be competitive on the world stage too. You know, this black man, I don't know where he come from. I don't know who he is. You know what I mean? But you must have more ability than just that. But Traore gave a bunch of tractors, a bunch of different new tractors to farmers in Burkina Faso to feed Burkina Faso. Ain't that just as revolutionary as important in protecting a nation state? If I could feed myself, then I don't have to go beg food from other people. Ain't that just as revolutionary too and just as patriotic? If I spend hours in the day making sure that I providing food for my people too, rather than just, and by the way, let me just say this, because I know we like to think that we like the super gangster people of the world. The reality is, yeah, if your name ain't, you are not Uzi, you are not Smith & Wesson, you are not, none of these names of these people that exist. You don't make any guns. You don't have a gun manufacturing place. You don't have any gunpowder. Ultimately, at the end of the day, you are at the mercy of others to provide these people for you to even to present a defense. I don't understand why some black people can't get it through their thick skull. It's a reason why China don't have to get into a physical war with the United States and still will beat them at their own game at the end of the day. Now, if they want to engage in an atomic war, which will benefit no one and no one will win, They could do that, but that's not the game that the game is played on right now. You know what I mean? You must think beyond your muscles. You must think beyond that. And there are other needs that exist within the Burkina Faso society than just gunplay. I'm not saying they're not to defend your country and be willing to give your life. This is an American idea too, by the way. You know, life or liberty, liberty or death. You know what I mean? You must be, I'm not saying not be patriotic and be willing to defend your country, but there are other needs, and the black man needs to discuss these kinds of things too. Because after you destroy, you must be able to rebuild. And when you rebuild, you must be able to maintain the rebuilding of a country. How are you going to feed the people? How are you going to ensure that people have medical supplies and things like that? It's many other questions in terms of being a warrior, what a warrior is. Not just a gun in your hand, man. Goodness, man. Needless to say, I'll just let someone else go. Because I'm ranting.
Let me just interject there, Buana. I appreciate your conversation. By the way, shout out to Sister Raw who's in the chat and Provide Triggers who came back. I realized something in this prompt. The gentleman here, and Jose broke down who he is. He's the son of a disgraced leader, I think, or disgraced general. I'll let Jose talk about it in a second. But he says it's a message to the warrior class. Now, stateside, when blacks talk about the warrior class, they're talking about a certain set of individuals. This is why I said the specialization, right? He's talking about those dudes, so to speak, is the way I interpret the prompt, and the way I interpret what he says. He's talking about those particular people. So when Jose asked that question, that's why I said, I'll let you guys answer how you feel the answer. But to me, there's a specific set of us who needs to have that heart or whatever it takes to carry out that work. And they're talking about the so-called warrior class. The other thing, and Trigger Happy 262 Plus touched on it, is when these messages come up, we tend to just talk about the message. We tend to zoom in on these messages. I don't think this message is devoid of the other things that you would have listed as being revolutionary or be within a certain warrior spirit as well. Yes, the farmer is a part of it. The doctors, the nurse, the speakers, the media, the people who carry on communication. All that is necessary. In fact, if you look at a country's military, all those things make up the military. The medic, the communications guy, the this, the that, the other. So, the nutritionist, all that. So it's not devoid of that thing. I think this guy is speaking to a specific group of people that are the ones who will be doing the so-called damage, the wrecking crew, if you will. You guys, the wrecking crew, need to go and get the aforementioned people that he spoke about. So I just wanted to put that out there. With that said, let me hear from Jacadero.
Man, what a powerful message he has, especially on TikTok. For those that don't know, there's many theories out there on why TikTok was banned in the United States. But one of them that is more entertained is that the rise of college campus protests in support of Palestine during this Israel-Palestine conflict has been going on, had been fueled by TikTok. School campus board of trustees, as well as private donors, felt like the rise of, they mentioned anti-Semitism is how they put it, was from the anti-Zionist imagery and clips from TikTok that were being uploaded to TikTok. So what a message, especially from TikTok. If he, I don't know if he necessarily needs to worry about getting getting deleted. I think he needs to worry about his TikTok account getting canceled, because there is also a theory out there that TikTok was brought back in the United States because it was agreed in backdoor meetings that, even up until now, if you try to find anti-Zionist, aka videos or imagery showing the bombing of refugee camps in Gaza, you won't find it because Zionists had said, okay, we'll allow you to operate in the United States as long as you don't make Israel look bad. Nonetheless, this is about his message and saying the different ideologies for two different races. It's shaping who we are. Yeah, I agree with that, and everybody knows this. Every single person knows this. For those that don't know, there was a book written by Robert F. Williams called Negro with a Gun. It's about a former NAACP member who in a small town of North Carolina had enough with the lack of accountability for white nationalists that were running amok in his town. So he and his chapter of NAACP brothers and sisters, they decided to, buy up as many rifles as they can and start eliminating white nationalists one by one. And it came to a standstill one time where pretty much like the black town that he lived in was pretty much on fire. It was, what do they call that? They imposed martial law on the town that he was in. They had to send in the National Guard. So I say all that to say, we all know this. We all know that, the rhetoric in us can shape and change a culture and shape the mindset. I do agree with his message, but that's why we have politicians. You see, for those that are not necessarily privy, but maybe had heard, but haven't had it explained to them the way that I'll explain it, is that this guy, he should be in Africa being an advisor, because with his strategy, it's great. Then that's why you have a politician, for the politician to soften that message, this hard message that he has, and then to go ahead and speak to the public and deliver it in such a way where it doesn't come off controversial. And even if it does, the politician is able to make it appear more diplomatic, to say like, hey, again, we are about protecting you guys. And how we do that is by staying on the offensive, something like that. So this brother is absolutely right. This is a mind that, just like Malcolm, I believe, and again, I don't want to put anything out there. I hope this brother lives a long time, and I'm not also comparing him to Malcolm. What I am saying is that with a mind like Malcolm, he was pretty militant for how public he was, but he needed to belong in an African country. He needed to be an advisor to, let's say, Kwame Nkrumah. I'm reading was it something Judas? I can't remember, but the book about Malcolm X, not written by him, and it talks about how Kwame Nkrumah, offered him a position in the Ghanaian government, and he opposed it, and he said, "I have a duty to my American Negro brothers and sisters." So I hope this brother also learns from that and says, you know what, if I ever get a government position, and that's to all of you guys on the panel and all you guys that are listening, if you ever get a Caribbean or an African offer from a government and you're in the United States, why are you staying here? Again, if maybe your parents are here, whatever the case, but get out. And like this brother's saying, be on the offensive. Get out there and be on the offensive. Let's go.
Well stated, Jackadera. I'd like to add to something Brother Bakari said. And Brother Bakari, I know I owe you a phone call. It's just been a busy week for me. But Bakari says, yes, to Bwana. I agree with you on this, but you need your own military. He said there's 10 African countries that make weapons. And when Bwana was speaking, I meant to address that as well. We do make guns. One of the things when I looked at the support, the worldwide support for Brother Traore this week, I said, I hope one of the things he does, because around the time when that support was happening, they announced that he bought new buses to hopefully nationalize the transportation system to make it cheaper for folks to take public transportation, etc. And one of the things I said to myself was, I hope he builds a firearm dispensary, if you will. I can't think of the right word right now, but that's one of the things I hope he does. And I hope they start to sell a branded firearm out of Burkina Faso. I think that's one of the things that's super necessary. I think building more roads. I think he finished a railroad. I think buying buses. I think doing all these things are necessary. But I think while you have that power, I think you need to start making more weapons too. So I just wanted to add that as well. Look like Ditso left. Yes, sir.
I find it extremely difficult. See, I am not a military man, you know, so I am finding it extremely difficult to the fact that this man is mentioning on the unaliving of children. How many non-military people would be able to? This message will be able to be digestible to non-military men. I am having a hard time with that. Yeah,
But Buona, that's why. Sorry to interrupt, but Buona, that's why he needs to be an advisor to a politician for the politician to soften up the message.
Yeah, and that message is not necessarily for you. Like the prompt said, a message to the warrior class. That's not necessarily for you, but you do your part. I do mine.
I understand. No, I consider myself to be a part of the warrior class, not in the lines of where Brother Bakari them were military men. But I understand. No, I understand. I'm having a difficult time. A Jacadero say maybe he needs to tease his message out a little bit, but I'm having a difficult time with that. I see the word children on it. You know what I mean? That gives me a guttural response. So like I say, I just think that his language will probably be better, you know, or more digestible to more towards military kinds of people. But I could be wrong. You know, I don't know.
With that said, looks like Ditso dropped off. So thanks to him for being here. But let me hear from my brother Anthony on this one. Anthony, a message to the warrior class. How did you receive the message?
What? It's been a long time. Hey man. Okay. Let me say something real quick. I think sometimes, like when these prompt, like this prompt and like a previous prompt come up, don't get me wrong. You know, the brothers have their idea of where they want to attack from, but I think we kind of been running away from the prompts a little bit. I mean, or talking around the prompt. Like this prompt was, I got exactly 100% what the brother said and what Koku said. You know, this was for that certain group of brothers. You know what I'm saying? Who can do that. Now, you know, some brothers, I'm going to get deep real quick for a minute. But first I want to say this. Okay, Buana, what you said is 100% right. You know, there are other parts, you know, how the Black Panthers and how our socialist brothers used to always say everything is political. Well, I say everything is military too. And so like what you said, you know, doing other jobs, jobs of building our communities or building our nation, that's also military. That's it, 100%. But what I'm saying, we have to look. We can't run away from that. I get what you're saying about being able to pull the trigger on young people, you know, on children and stuff like that. I understand what you're saying, but I want to remind you, in the Haitian Revolution, you know what I'm saying? The Haitian Revolution. If those Africans would have said we can't kill women and children, they probably would have never got their freedom. You know what I'm saying? They had to kill a bunch of people. You know what I'm saying? They had to kill those Europeans. In every slave rebellion of enslaved Africans across the Caribbean, Central South America, they had to kill some people who, like, you know, us being as African people, you know, we got a humanity that's bigger than everybody. You know what I'm saying? But we have to also remember, keep it in our mind, that wherever we were enslaved and oppressed, you know, in this hemisphere, on the African continent or wherever, those Europeans did some of the most heinous things to us. I could go to all of the lynchings that happened here in the United States, man, where they in 1917 in East St. Louis, they made bonfires out of black children with black babies. They made bonfires. You know what I'm saying? They burnt them on big ass bonfires. You know what I'm saying? I could go on forever about that, man. For all of that, I mean, where whole families were lynching. You can see pictures of the father, the mother, and the children, everybody hanging up in trees. You know what I'm saying? This is our thing. These people, our oppressors have no stop limit toward doing what they got to do to us. But it's us who are always with the humanity. Just like we go back to the human rights movement of the 60s. You know what I'm saying? With Dr. Martin Luther King, you know, when the brothers and sisters was getting ready, they was busting crackers in the head in Birmingham and places like that, where he was saying, if any blood gonna be shed, let it be our blood. You know what I'm saying? And we got that mentality of that dying part and not that killing part. You know what I'm saying? And that's something that we got to get out of, man. You know what I'm saying? When you in a war, guess what? You got to kill some motherfuckers. You know, this thing about police violence, when police kill brothers or sisters. You know what I'm saying? And you can see them choking out George Floyd. And what you got? A bunch of Negroes standing over here with a cell phone. Somebody leave them alone. You know, unalive. You know what I'm saying? But now this picture, if there was some black police, beating the hell out of a white boy, doing whatever, and a whole bunch of them old some Kentucky crackers standing around them, man, they would have dealt with his ass. You know what I'm saying? We gonna take pictures. You know what I'm saying? We gonna march after and say, no justice, no peace, and it ain't gonna be nothing behind that but just us marching and saying that. Okay, I'm saying, okay, Buana, and I'm not just picking on you, bro. I'm just saying your name because of what you said. Okay, it ain't just a military man. You don't have to be an army guy. I wasn't in the army. I wasn't in the military. You know what I'm saying? I mean, and most black people not in the military. I mean, you don't have to be a military man to be able to arm a to learn how to shoot and to shoot your enemy. You know what I'm saying? I mean, it's plain and simple. It's survival of your people. You gotta think like that. And of course, I mean, you know, you have to have organization. You know, you have to have ways of taking care of handling business. I get you. You know, I'm not saying like, oh well, hell, man, we got to find some guns. Well, you know that we ain't gonna talk military. We ain't gonna talk our business on YouTube. But I'm saying, but this is the point I'm trying to make. I understand everybody can't pull a trigger. Now, this is the part where I'm gonna tell you about the get deep part. You know, I'm letting you brothers into it. Y'all know, you know, we know each other right now. Now, for years and years, as a young brother living here, in my community where I'm at, you know what I'm saying? I spent a long time learning how to shoot guns. And I spent a long time learning how to shoot guns at other brothers that look like people that look like me. You know what I'm saying? I did stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? I mean, and I can remember the first time having a gun in my hand. You know what I'm saying? And my hand shaking. You know, and then I can remember after the next time and the next time I had that easier and easier. You know what I'm saying? So what I'm saying, we got to take that kind of mentality. You know, when I came into my black consciousness and I started learning, hey, this is some bullshit, man. You've been an enemy to your people and all this stuff. And I started learning, hey, look here, you need to take what you learn and stop doing it against your people and learn how to do it against your enemy. You know what I'm saying? And I'm saying that, like I say, he talking to the warrior group. He's talking to the Crips and the Bloods, and to the gangster disciples and the vice lords, and to whatever and anywhere else where you have these young brothers who have no problem pulling guns and shooting. You know what I'm saying? Well, channel that into shooting the enemy that's oppressed you, that got his foot on your neck. You know what I'm saying? I understand what you're talking about. Like I said, I know it ain't easy. It ain't easy, you know, to pull a trigger. You know what I'm saying? I know it. Hey, I know it personally, man. It ain't easy. And there's a certain group of people who can do that. And so a lot of people can't do that. You know what I'm saying? A lot of people can't do that. I know, hell, my brother was in the military. You know what I mean? And we sit up and talk about this kind of stuff a lot. You know what I mean? I learned a lot of military stuff from him. What I'm saying, but like I said, you know, we got to fight a battle on all fronts. You know, like we need teachers, we need doctors, you know, we need farmers, we need business people, we need all that, everything that we need to build up our community. We need all of that. But this is something that we also need too. And we got to get it out of our mind that we can't pull a trigger on the enemy. And sometimes the enemy ain't the soldier. You know what I'm saying? I mean, when it comes down to that conflict, you know what I'm saying? So I mean, it's how many times you have seen, well, we're gonna spare these people right here, let them go, and them same people came back and got your ass. You know what I'm saying? When you in a war condition, you know what I'm saying, and you have to remember that, guess what? Think to yourself, okay, I can't pull a gun on these women and children or whatever, but guess what? They damn sure can pull it on you. And right now, you can go to gun shows across this country, and they got 9, 10-year-old white girls and white boys who know how to shoot guns. You know what I'm saying? They trained. They got camps all over this country. You know, neo-Nazi groups and Aryan groups. You know, white nationalist groups all over here. Guess what? They learning how to shoot. They learning military tactics. And guess what? They waiting on the Turner Diaries to come true because they ready to shoot your black ass. And guess what? They're not gonna just shoot your black ass. They're gonna shoot your black ass wife. They're gonna shoot your black ass children too. And they don't give a damn. Dylan Root was what? A teenager. He's a teenager. Plenty these boys at these school shootings, these crazy white boys, they teenagers. They don't have no problem shooting your black ass. And what we got to get in our mind that when you in a war situation, you know what? War is war. You know what I'm saying? And you got to you have to get over that for it. Like I say, if you ain't the kind that can pull a gun or pull a trigger, then you know you got to support it in another kind of way. But whatever way that you feel that you got to. But I'm just saying, when it comes down to it, you know, my people, survival, wherever we are, I mean, right here or anywhere else we at, I'm going to pull that goddamn trigger. You know what I'm saying? I know everybody can't do it. It's hard. Like I said, the first time I did it, you know, I was nervous. I thought I was going to have a heart attack. You know what I'm saying? And it was terrible what I had to go through.
Hey, stop telling us.
It was terrible. It was terrible. It was terrible because I was doing it against my people. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, I get it though, man. But yeah. You know, he was talking to a group of people, man. I ain't mean to go too long, y'all. I'm sorry about that.
No. You didn't go long at all. Let me just say this too, Anthony. I know sometimes it could be a while before a panelist speaks, going from one prompt to the next because of how I do it here. I do it turn-based. But this is for everyone here. You guys can politely interject. Jacadero does it. Bobuana does it sometimes. You can politely interject. You can always, in between me introducing another panelist to speak, you could also ask to, you know, interject and say something quickly. So you ain't got to sit quietly and feel like it's been such a long time since you spoke. You are free to interject, right?
And Koku, I do it to Buana because Buana does it to other people. Yeah. I make sure. Yeah, he has to pay.
Yeah. It's cool. I know exactly why you do it. I know. With that said, let's introduce the Brother Bakari. Brother Bakari, how are you this week?
Everything's everything. How about you? Everybody on the panel and in the chat, how y'all doing?
I'm hanging in there, man. Like I said, I owe you a call. Don't worry, I'll call you.
No, you good. But appreciate that though. But what I want to say is I just came up for this prompt, but I heard Bawana talking about he was talking about farming and doctoring and it's revolutionary. Yes, that is revolutionary. But what the brother was talking about is what just like Anthony said, he was talking to a class of people. But what I say is he talking to us. I want Bawana to understand because this for I'm talking to Brother Bawana. I think when you think about this, you have to look at it, right? So when I was this man, I would cook. Now you go to war, which I chose not to, but you go to war, right? You have to be able to cook a meal, 5 people. You're under attack. So I want you to understand, while your people now, right? So I want you to understand, you are feeding the people going out. taking lives, unalive, and whatever. I don't know how I can say it, but taking lives of the unaliving of those kids. What he said that that's something that has to be done. We can't all look at and want to be always humanitarian, and we want to know that's a, but never look and say no, but that's a black child. Or, go to the Bible for an example, right? Even
Bakari,
what did they do?
Bakari, you're chopping up. You're kind of in the matrix a little bit. You're chopping up a little bit. I don't know if it's where you're at or what it is, but there's a little something going on with your audio.
Oh man, I don't know what it is. Is it any better now?
Yeah. Speak now. Let me see.
Yeah, is it any better now?
Yes,
yeah,
sir.
like
Yes,
now,
sir.
is it any better now? So what I'm saying was, even when you go to the Bible and you use that for example, and I'm not arguing whether stories are true or not. These people say their God told them to kill all the men, kill all the baby boys, kill all the women that have not laid with a man. Keep the little girls and you keep all the virgins. The point is, you're going to war, and we are at war with people who don't who don't even see you as human. Going to war with people that's willing to wipe out your whole generation. We have to get to the point to where we're going to think and say, you know what? That's what they want to do to me. I have to take out their whole generation. I have to take out their whole line because that's what they want to do to us. We're at war, and they have been doing it. And they have been taking lives in several ways. Look at cancer out in Louisiana. Look at all the water that's messed up in Jackson, Mississippi, Flint, Michigan, Alabama, Athens, Georgia. They've been taking the lives of people in multiple ways. And we have to look and say, since we're at war, this is what we have to be prepared to do. For the ones who think they're not built for it, you are built for it. Because in your mind, you know it's you or them. And I think everybody will choose themselves. So everything Bwana said was revolutionary. I absolutely agree with him. That's all revolutionary. But I want Bwana to know that's part of the military. And with the part of the military, I was a cook, like I said, in this man's army. My first job was infantry. Bwana, you in the military, your job is to do what everybody else's job do. That might not be your main job. That may not be your main job, but you are trained to do everything I'm trained to do. So we all have to know how, and we all have to be willing to do that. And on that, I give my.
I want to answer. I want to answer that. I want to answer.
Yeah, go ahead.
I hear what Brother Bakari was saying as a military person, but I am not prepared, and it's not my imagination yet. I am not prepared to pull a Nat Turner. I am not prepared, and Nat Turner killed children as well, I think, in his diaries. I am not prepared to do what the God in the Bible did either. He's a genocider. This is one of the reasons I would never be a Christian either, because I think that what the God in the Bible did make him an evil God. You know what I mean? Why would he kill children? Why would he kill children? I am just not there yet. Let me say that I'm not there yet, and this is the reason why I say that he was speaking in a language of military people, because I am not prepared to do that. I am not prepared to do that. Children have a right to change their mind. Children have a right to create whatever world that we create for them. You know, they're gonna buy into. So if I become the monster into trying to so-called maintain my humanity, how could I be a human after that? After committing acts of monstrosity on other people, I don't understand that. That equation does not match in my brain. I'm sorry.
Bwana, I hear what you're saying, bro. Is it my turn to speak? I'm sorry. Is it my go?
Now go ahead, bro.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Bwana, everybody on the panel, y'all got to be careful, man. Y'all got to be real, real careful. This is how people get caught up. All right. Have many of you, I put something in the chat about an agent provocateur, right? This is agent provocateur language. You mean to tell me this man is telling us to go to find General Langley's grandson, walk up in the preschool and kill him? Come on now. Here, listen to what this dude is saying. All right. So, for those of you who may not be aware, right, an agent provocateur is somebody who actively entices another person to commit a crime that would not otherwise have been committed and then reports the person to the authorities, right? So many times, especially during the Black Panthers, right? Black Panther Party, Eldridge Cleaver encouraged some Black children, Bunchy Carter, for example, go out there, get your guns, fight the police, got them brothers killed, right? William O'Neill, the guy who had not Huey, but Fred Hampton killed. He worked for the government. Hey man, let's go out there, get the guns, fight the crackers, whatever. The whole time he talking to the feds. So he shows up. So the feds have a whole layout where they sleep and everything. You got to be careful of dudes who talk like this, right? Because he'll encourage you to do something. You think you're going for the revolution. You show up and guess who's waiting on you? FBI, the CIA, waiting to lock you up. You got to be careful about people like this. You really do. I'm all for listen. In a state of warfare, I know there's laws to war and everything else. Okay, whatever. That's fine. If we go down to a full-blown race war, fuck them kids. All right? I get it. I totally get it. Fuck them kids. But I do think that you got to be careful when people talk like this. You say I sense it from Trigger Happy. I'm sorry. I'm openly talking about killing kids on the internet in 2025. Patriot Act? Nah, bro. Nah. That's retarded. That's retarded. Why would you do that? If you were serious about it, you wouldn't say it. You just do it. I'm sorry. This is why military planning and strategy is so important, right? This is why it's so important to learn from history. Why did British win the Battle of Britain against the Nazis? Because the British had broken the Germans' code. Okay, they knew everything the Germans were going to do. You sit up here and talk about opening like this. Come on. It's not smart. It's not smart. It is not smart at all. In times of war, like even Nat, we talked about Nat Turner, killing, when he killed his legal master, who was a 9-month-old child. And Nat Turner understood the conditions that he was in. Slavery was a violent institution, and that violence was always on Black people. Now he was turning around on white people. I totally get that. But even Nat Turner said, hey, once the war really commences, we're going to spare women and children, right? I don't believe this dude for a second. I don't. He's talking about using terrorism tactics, war crimes to target children, which is basically what are we Israelis now? Is that what we're saying? I don't know. I'm just not feeling this dude. I'm not thinking his thought process. Go after this general's grandson. Go after the daughter of the CEO who runs Shell Oil. First of all, they're going to be protected. Second of all, the only thing you're going to do in a situation is going to galvanize the enemy against you, right? I don't know. We're not in a state of war yet. Mentally, I don't think Black people are prepared for a war on the scale that he's talking about. I'm all for it. If you want to go to Burkina Faso, put boots on the ground, talk to the be a military advisor, that's all well and good, brother. You talking about killing people's grandkids at their preschool, snatching their daughter on the way to school? No, that's ridiculous. I think that's ridiculous. I don't trust it. I'm definitely getting some agent provocateur vibes. I would not recommend anybody putting themselves out there. You'll end up in a supermax prison for the rest of your life on lockdown 23 hours a day, with 1 hour of rec time. I don't agree with this at all. I think it's ridiculous, especially saying it in the open like this. Nah, I don't trust that at all. I'm done.
So I'll add this and then I'll throw it to the final Bakari. I think two things can be true simultaneously. I think you could believe this guy is an agent provocateur. That's fine. But and you could believe that because he's speaking so publicly. Again, that's fine. But I think what's more important is we will have to develop that kind of mentality, because I don't see this warfare. I don't see this warfare that Buana sees, that you're gonna leave your enemies' progeny alive, so that they can then become your enemy as well. Like it doesn't make sense.
So Koku, that's literally the same logic the Israelis use when they kill Palestinian children.
Yeah, I'm not concerned too much with that though.
But you don't see the problem with that thinking, because that's the exact same thing the Israelis saying.
No, the Israelis are a bully group that's taking advantage of a Palestinian group. We're talking about, that's not even warfare that they're doing.
The logic is still the same logic, though. Kill these children, because if you don't kill them, they'll grow up to fight us.
No, the logic is fucked up on their part, because they're a bully group to those people. Those people didn't wage war against them. Those people didn't even agree that they were in some warfare with these people. We are talking about our open enemies coming to destabilize and destroy what this gentleman right now, or these three gentlemen right now in West Africa are doing. That's galvanizing all of Africa. We are in a situation out here. We need power. We need people to stand up, willing to fight. We really ain't got time to soft shoot this stuff.
No. Coco, what you are doing, and the brothers are being judge, jury, and executioner over people who you don't know what they will become. What if they want to support your By the way, let me say this. This is important to say. During the Underground Railroad, there are white people who contributed to the freedoms of black people.
Oh, here comes the good white guy shit.
I have to. The discussion has to be entertained, because if you're prejudging, prejudging people and doing whatever you're gonna do to them before they even formulate opinions, I think that is absolutely wrong. Absolutely wrong.
Buana, I watched this video. There's a guy, he was talking about something in a different context. Bakari, I'm coming to you next, don't worry. He was talking about it in a different context. He was talking about good women versus bad women. And the thing that he said something that I think about all the time. He said, if a pack of lions is coming up the street is coming down the road towards you, do you have time to figure out what's a good lion, what's a bad lion? Or do you have time just to be on the defensive and defend yourself against lions? We ain't got time to worry about. Listen, you know how many engineers, doctors, scientists, lawyers, humanitarians, these people destroyed of our people? They didn't take time and say, man, let's not kidnap this village here. Let's not kidnap this guy. He might join our cause later. He might be a good black folk. We ain't got time for that nonsense, dog. Not in warfare. Not in self-defense. We gotta stand on something. This is weak talk, to be quite frank.
I absolutely disagree with that. No, I absolutely disagree with that.
No, that's scared talk, one. That's scared talk.
No, I don't mind the adjective. I don't mind. I think that's absolutely I disagree with that absolutely. I think that this collective punishment, where if one person or a group of people wrong you, then the whole group is responsible for the actions of a few. I think that is absolutely wrong, Coco. Absolutely wrong. I'm sorry, bro.
So Buana, real quick, one of the things to also highlight about, because what you're saying is like it doesn't need to be indiscriminatory, but that's where you have, quote unquote, the general and or the field general giving out a strategy that says, okay, well, we can go about it like this. An example here is the Mau Mau of Kenya. And when they were raiding white farms in Kenya. The strategy is that when they would come across a white woman, a British woman, or British children, they would not touch. And if there was any report from any of the other Mau Mau soldiers that a Mau Mau had either killed or sexually assaulted a woman and or a child, that they would be later on killed once they returned back to base. And it's been on record that many of the women that were left alone, they would report after being questioned by British authorities, hey, you know, when the Mau Mau, when these rebels, these terrorists came upon the farm, did they touch you? It's like, no, they just killed my husband. Did they touch the kids? No, they just killed my husband. And it was almost in a disbelief. And this was a consensus and a consistent narrative and alibi throughout. So I say that, again, I believe what we're talking about is good in theory, but then you have to have strategy. Everything, you know, what people say is one thing, but when you apply it to a strategy, now we're talking about a whole different way. And so I believe it was Black Steel that was saying that, you know, we can't go about this the way that he's perceiving it. You know, I think he had said, like, I don't have the heart, you know, to go out and do this to children. So, and then Koku had brought up, you know, Israel's campaign on Gaza and how they're doing it to Gaza. With the Israeli strategy, it's like, we are retaliating for October 7th. And if there is civilian casualty, that's just collateral damage that just goes along with it. But we're after Hamas. I leave on that.
Yeah, actually, with Black Steel.
Okay, let me.
That's complete bullshit.
Okay, so if they gonna
Hamas according to them.
So here's the thing, right? When we talk about what Israel is doing to Palestine, right? Shit, we can talk about what white folks doing to black folks here. I ain't worried about them Arabs. If we can talk about what the Libyans, what the Arabs doing to black people over in Libya, how they enslaved them. But we always, our humanitarian, we always look and see what has happened to somebody else. The Jews. No, they just white folks. They doing what white folks do. Because these white folks here that doing this stuff ain't no Jews. They just white folks. A Jew ain't nothing but a religion. And when Bwana said, talk about the abolitionists, right? When people say that, I wish people would finish their statements and study to see how many abolitionists kept slaves that ran away, the ones that they could use. Look and see how many that they kept on their property. As what it would be, they would call them, they might become indentured servants, and that better than being enslaved, right? So when you at war, we want to see, that's why we ain't trying to fight back. And I'm not saying what Black Steel said is wrong about. Don't be sitting on social media in 2025 talking about killing kids, right? But in war, right? That's what has happened. Yeah, I'm sorry, unalive and taking a breath, however it got to be said. But in war, and if we're talking about war, that's what happened in war. And if you go throughout history, everybody throughout history, he said the God of the Bible was genocidal, but everybody throughout history who has had control, they have done the things. And I ain't saying just follow this dude, because ain't nobody finna go run up in nobody's school and do this, what this dude here is talking about. But we're talking about if we were organized and war is here and we are prepared. That's how I'm seeing it. And we are prepared. And that's what it is. Some of the things that we have to do. But throughout history, Mongolians did it, Romans did it, them funky and nasty as Arabs, they did it. Everybody has done it except one group of people. And that group of people has been at the bottom ever since. That group of people is still dominated by every other group of people. That group of people, Africans, we are still looking to someone else to protect us. Like I see people cheering on, Russia and China is going to Burkina Faso. They're not going to give you weapons to defeat them. So then they will destroy you. just like during Desert Storm, and they was talking about the Scud missiles that Iraq had. You know why Iraq could defeat everybody in the Middle East? Because they got their weapons from the United States. You know why the United States could destroy Iraq? Because they gave them Scud missiles. Let's say hypothetically, that Scud missile was moving at 50 miles per hour. The United States had a Patriot missile that was moving at 150 miles per hour. Everybody was laughing at how slow the Scud, because it was outdated weapons. But as long as we are looking for somebody else to do it for us, we ain't gonna ever be free. Burkina Faso, if they keep looking to Russia and China, we ain't gonna ever be free, because nobody is gonna take care of us but us. Ain't nobody gonna fight this war and willing to go to the end for us but us. But we'll go to the end and look and concern ourselves with other people's issues. Our issue is the biggest issue in the world. Look how long we've been going through this. You got some lunatic in office tearing up. They want to get rid of everything black. Kind of remind you of what the homosexual what they called him, the Greek guy. He was Macedonian. Alexander of Greece, Alexander of Macedonia. He'll never be great to me. Didn't they go through there and tear up libraries and everything over in Egypt? Now look how we trying to figure out what's going on there. But we've been under attack for all these 2,000 years later. They're still doing the same thing to us. And we're still trying to find a conscience and say, we have to be sure we're fighting the right one. You know how you know you fighting the right one? Because they ain't over here next to you. If they truly your ally and they gonna be over here next to you. They gonna reach out to you. We don't have to stop fighting. Well, be careful. It's 20 of them over there. 2 of them might be with us. No, if they with us, if they are with us, we are gonna know they are with us.
I want to answer Brother Bakari after he's done.
Go ahead.
After Buana goes, Anthony, you go next. But real quick, I want to say that what's happened in the conversation a little bit is the conversation has become about unaliving kids without putting it in its context, which is what Trigger is kind of doing here. Listen, man, if they coming at you, you got to go at them. It's just that simple. And you got to make them afraid to come at you again. And what's the best way to make them afraid? Make them afraid for themselves and their children. And that's ultimately what war is. Make these people afraid to even put up a resistance. But I'll let Buana go. And then after that is Anthony and then Black Steel.
I don't mind being the polarizing person on the panel, because sometimes we need this dynamic. This dynamic is a good one, believe it or not. But let me just say this. I'll say this. There was Donald Trump right now has put 140% tariffs on China, right? And China has said, this is China's response now. China has said that we're willing to go as far to the extent as possible with you. Whatever means you want to go, we're willing to go where you want to go. But something China said was very important. China said, we have been a civilization for 5,000 years. You have been a civilization for how long? They say, you know what? Y'all gonna come and go, but we'll still be around. I feel the same way with African people. African people has been around for hundreds of thousands of years. All these things, what you believe to be new, I believe that the African mind has experienced these things. One of the things Brother Bakari said was, all these people react in a specific way, but it seems like the African mind has always acted in a humane way. You think that that's just by chance? You think that they've been through a period of uncivilization, of brutality, of killing, of murder, of all these things? Maybe the conclusion the African mind has come to is the best way to live on this planet is to be humane. And he's trying to show the rest of his children, because they are his children. We are their children. Why is the adult going to act like the children? Let me finish, Coco. Why is the adult gonna act
You should
like
become
the
a priest,
children?
brother.
No, I good. That's okay. The children should act like the adult. The adult shouldn't act like the children. We've been on the planet for 100,000 years. We are trying to show humanity how to be human. You know, this is how to be human. But y'all wanna act like the children. And ultimately, when the children run the house, you know what I mean? Y'all gonna destroy the house. Y'all gonna destroy the house. It's your mentality we're gonna destroy the house, I believe.
But see, here's the thing, right? And you say we like to say they're our children. I don't necessarily buy that concept. I know that's what they said, but that's just me. But you trying to teach them something? Obviously, they ain't learning. So since you say you're their parent, maybe it's time to discipline them. That's what happened when the children is hard-headed and they don't listen and they constantly disobey the parents. They get disciplined. You don't sit back and yep, well, we're gonna let them burn down this house and just go build another one because we can. They our children. Let's show them how, oh well, they burnt this one down too. No, eventually you discipline your children. But Wanda, you don't want to discipline your children. We gonna let the children wipe us out. It'll be 14 black people left. They're gonna still, well, you know what? Well, eventually we gonna keep teaching them humanity. The most humane thing, this is my opinion. The most humane thing in something like this is you to save your life. That's the most humane thing is for you to, like, you know what? Eventually we're gonna have to let our nuts hang and fight back. That's the most. It's not. See, you saying it's humanity. There's nothing humane by watching what happened to George Floyd and nothing happens. There's nothing humane. We're not doing anything humane by knowing what happened to those kids in Georgia in the Hiwassee Mountains and nothing happened. There's nothing humane. We're doing nothing humane. When they said a little white girl, this is what, 3 years ago, was missing, and they saw her with a black dude, and they bring a whole damn group. They coming like it's 1765 with fire on sticks, surround their people's house because they looking for that white. There's nothing humane when we sit back and we are doing nothing humane for ours. So we don't see humanity in us. Not just the ones on the streets. I'm talking about the ones that's conscious. We can't see humanity in ourselves, obviously, because we are willing to let them do whatever and figure out a way to say, you know what? Let's just keep being humane and they gonna learn. You haven't taught your children well, Bawana. When you gonna put belt the ass?
But Bakari, what is humane about killing a little baby, bro? What's so mean?
You never heard me say that.
But that's what we talking about. We talking about killing.
And guess what? Guess what? But what I'm saying is, I know what happens in war. I know what happens in war. So that's part of war. Believe it or not. And I know you believe it because you study history. And you know in these wars, that's what has happened to our babies. That's what happens in war.
We will be the new Menendez parents according to Buana and them. Our children will just blow our fucking brains out. But I gotta get Anthony. You gotta step in there sometime, bro. I can't clear the way all the time. Sometimes just step inside there, man. Go ahead.
Okay, yeah. I mean, you know, hey, Koku, I be trying not to, to interrupt, people's train of thought or whatever. But I'm saying, hey, look here. First of all, Bakari was cooking. Okay. The second thing is this, right? Okay, is what I want to say right here. You got to always fight an enemy to the end.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Shreveport, and Glen Island have to hook up. They gotta hook up with each other. They double team them.
Okay. Yeah. Okay, boy, I got you. But hold up for a minute, because I'm gonna come to you. Okay. What I'm saying, you got to fight an enemy to the end. That's one thing. Now, and I'm gonna give you examples. And I'm glad Brother Jacadero here. I'm gonna holler at him too. Okay. What I'm saying is, in Zimbabwe, they had, our people fought a long war from the mid '60s to the late '70s in Zimbabwe. At the end of the war, they had a peace agreement. So I forgot what they called it, the something accord, But anyway, they had a peace agreement where they were gonna like ship. Okay, you're gonna put a black government in power, but at the same time, the white folks still own all the good farmland and control the economy. You know what I'm saying? And right now today, our people in Zimbabwe still trying to fight for economic independence there. You know what I'm saying? In South Africa. Okay, we was all happy to see old Uncle Nelson Mandela come out and become president. But you know what? Right now today, because our people didn't fight the war to the end in South Africa, guess what? White folks still run South Africa. No, they still run the economy. They still control a majority of the land, over 75%. They control the mineral resources and everything. And they got black people in South Africa now fighting each other because, you know, that's what happened when you in dire situation. You know what I'm saying? And you feel like you ain't got no hope, everything. And you start turning against each other. So guess what? We started killing each other over there instead of killing the motherfuckers who stole our people's land. It killed hundreds of thousands, probably millions of people there. You got to fight the enemy to the end. White folks still run South Africa. No ifs, ands, buts about it. I don't care how many Negroes in parliament, or how many Negroes is president. White folks still run South Africa. They still run it. Right now, today, apartheid never ended. You know what I'm saying? They just said, okay, we'll let you can go over there, whatever, but we still running everything that counts. All your life-sustaining stuff. Okay, we can go to Kenya. Think about this here. My brother Jacadero, big respect to you, man. And you was talking about the Kenya Land and Freedom Army, the Mau Mau brothers and sisters who was fighting. Okay. At one point in time, when Bernie Bill, when Jomo Kenyatta became president, you know what he did? He started turning on the Mau Mau. You know what I'm saying? He started arresting it because he went and cut a deal with the white folks, with the British.
Yeah.
No, Kenya is Kenya at one time, and even still now to me with Ruto, Kenya is like the Cote d'Ivoire of East Africa. You know what I'm saying? It's the Cote d'Ivoire of East Africa with all them coons in power. You know what I'm saying? And they might, you know, you could say a black thing every once in a while, but William Ruto is a coon.
Hey,
you know what I'm saying?
Easy now. That's my president.
Okay, I'll take that. What I'm saying, he's not a Pan-Africanist. He may talk that Pan-African sometimes, but he's in their pocket. You know what I'm saying? Ain't no way ever am I gonna be a president of an African country and send some troops over here in the name of white folks to come over here and oppress some people in another black country.
Just to interrupt again, you know, we might have reservations about the Haiti situation and Ruto sending in police officers to Haiti, but the prime minister at the time, Ariel Henry, did ask the international community to send military help, and Ruto was just one of the African countries that responded. Also, Philip Davis, Bahamas, also to do so.
Okay, what I'm saying also, but see, that was an Uncle Tom communicate with other Uncle Toms. You know what I'm saying? The prime minister of Haiti was also an Uncle Tom. You got to realize that. See, two Uncle Toms know each other. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, we need y'all to come over and help us and do this here right here. Because they all getting paid from the same people.
We're getting away from this.
No, I'm still on it.
Okay, go ahead.
Y'all interrupted me and get me away from it. Okay, but what I'm saying, okay, none of us, okay, there's none any of us on this panel who take marching orders from some brother on social media. You know about none of us. Okay, yeah, we hear and we agree with the sentiment. Well, some of us, well, I do. I agree with the sentiment of what he's saying, but no, I don't take my marching orders from no brother on social media. You know what I'm saying? With what Black Seal, talking about agent provocateurs and everything. Give us credit. We got more sense than that. You know what I'm saying? All I'm doing, we was talking about what he was saying. And my point is, you got to fight the enemy all the way to the end. Now, if we go back some of the logic that some of the brothers had talked about, guess what? Okay, McIndoll, Dirty Bookman, no, they was agent provocateurs because you know what they said? Go out there and kill all the motherfuckers. You know what I'm saying? Who got their foot on our neck?
No, that's not what that means.
No. Yes, no. According to what you say, you talking about he's saying publicly, go out here and do this.
No. Agent provocateur is somebody who sets you up.
Hey, bro, hold on. Let me finish, Blake. Let me finish. Let me finish. I know what an agent provocateur is, brother. I know what that is, and I know it ain't exactly what you're talking about. But what I'm saying, I don't take my marching orders from nobody on social media. But what I'm saying, McAdoo and them said the same thing. You know, he got in public and he said we got to go out and kill these motherfuckers. So he incited people to kill people too. But I'm saying, but he was fighting for his freedom, for the people, for his people's freedom. But what I'm saying, if we lay there and don't, you can't halfway fight a war, brother. You can't halfway fight. You got to fight a war 100%. You know what I'm saying? Them people will kill you and all of yours to maintain what they got. I've even heard you say that. You'll fuck up the world just to maintain power. But goddamn it, we need to be able to fuck them up just to get some power or to get our freedom. You guys, I mean, all of this, I can't deal with this. I can't deal with this kind of thinking, man. You know what I'm saying about all this humanity. I mean, we black people, we always won with the humanity. You know what I'm saying? And we always won our humanity not being recognized and being the victim of all of the bullshit. Because we don't want to hurt nobody. We got something in our heart, we just don't want to hurt nobody. But we'll stand up and watch a Negro get killed or watch a sister get killed. And we'll just say, oh, let's put it in the Lord's hands. Or we'll march and do all of this shit here. The moment we start getting some nuts and start busting back, and start doing our thing against these jokers in the blue uniform that's killing brothers and sisters, guess what? And when we start hearing bad fights, guess what? That shit's gonna stop. It may not stop right there, but it's gonna stop and they're gonna think about it. You know what I'm saying? But no, we wanna okay, we gonna put it in the Lord's hands and all this here. We gonna be human. We gonna be, well, like Bakari said, part of being human is protecting the survival of your people. Looking out for the survival of your people, man. I'll land right there.
This is the last prompt for the night. I'm tempted to have Bwana take us out with a prayer to cover everyone with the blood of Christ. And whatnot.
That's a good one.
Koku, I like that, Koku. I like that.
Yeah, I mean, we gotta get the white man, like Trigger said in the chat, we gotta get the white man out of our heads, man, because we think his children is our children now. Where was that thinking for Tamir Rice and Trayvon Martin?
I'll be sure to give a prayer tonight for all your psychopaths and who wants to unalive children.
No, you see,
hey Koku, it is just like, I'm sorry, Koku, it's just it's that old time religion, that Christian religion that have us with that everybody, the love and all that stuff there, but it's also that Western 19th century Western European liberalism too, that take the race out of the thing. You know what I'm saying? We take race out and we follow the other stuff, and you know what I'm saying? And so now it's all the people of the world and the working class and the humanity of everybody, when none of them motherfuckers recognize our humanity. So it's that old kind of ideology along with the Christianity and other stuff that we accept. You know what I'm saying? That put us in this place now. Well, we'll let people do shit to us, but we ain't gonna do it back to them because we don't want to prove that we like them. But you know what? I guarantee you, I've seen this personally in prison. I've seen this personally. When you in a cell and another man coming at you with a knife or whatever, or saying, drop your drawers. You know what I'm saying? If you a man, you know what I'm saying? You're going to put that shit aside and you're going to fight for your humanity, for your manhood. You're going to fight for who you are. Well, you know what? You got to do that. We got to do that in our liberation struggle too, man. That's what I'm saying. You got to put that bullshit aside.
Yeah, but Anthony, I am the first person. I speak about competition. I am a competitor, brother. I believe in competition. If you are a man, I could go toe to toe with you. All I am saying is, a child is not my competition, Anthony. How can I compete with a child, bro? I just don't agree. Let me just put it like, y'all can call me all the names y'all want to. If we have a man-to-man contest.
Hey, Koku.
I would be willing to.
Hey, Koku.
All of our enemies were once children, dog.
Hey, that's what I'm just going to say, Koku. That's what I'm going to say. At one time, guess what? Leopold of Belgium was a child, too.
He was a child.
And guess what? 15 to 20 million. 15 to 20 million Africans died for that.
No, I don't agree. I don't agree with that.
For that child. For that child. I'm the kind of guy, you give me a time machine, Bonner's the kind of guy to go and fucking play catch with them or some shit like that. Come on, man.
You had these guys talking tough. They talking really tough. But when it comes down to it, when the rubber hits the road, we'll see who is who. Well, I'm saying that I don't agree with this. I don't agree with y'all, brother.
Bonner, you give me a time machine tomorrow, I'm taking out Leopold. And I'll probably meet you there playing catch with the motherfucker. I gotta fight you to take him out.
Well, see, now we have an argument about nature versus nurture, right? So if you believe that people are born evil, then yeah, kill a little bastard. But if you believe that he could be nurtured and raised properly, then Buana, go ahead and tell him to go along with the ball, I think I think there's an argument.
You'll be catching that ball with one hand, I tell you that much. You'll be catching that motherfucker with one hand.
I have a question for all my sociopathic brothers on the panel. So if a child, no, I have to say like if a child comes out of his mother's womb, right? Now you unalive their parents, as you are suggesting, but you put them in a so-called, the child is still living, so you put them in a black-centered school. You teach them black education. This is what happens to the slave in the West Indies, by the way, and in other places of the world. So you devoid him from all that indoctrination and education in terms of this white supremacist ideology. Put him in a black-centered school and give him all ideas of blackness and African things of that nature. Why would you then unalive that particular individual? After all, he has swallowed all your indoctrination. So he is not going to go against you. He is just going to buy into what you have put into him from childhood to adulthood. So what is the point in getting rid of that individual? Please explain that to me.
Buana, I do have something to say about that. You raise a child pretty much African-centered. There's been cases where it doesn't always work out. Case in point that I have is the retired football player Larry Fitzgerald, who played for the longest career of the Arizona Cardinals. He grew up in Minneapolis, Minnesota, and there's photos of him and his family, African-centered, and he ended up marrying out of his race. So I'm saying that doesn't always work. I think there's a proverb. I'm going to mess up the proverb, but it's something along the lines of like, for wisdom, it's not necessarily taught. You have to inject it in the blood. And so I say that to say, like, we shouldn't necessarily think that raising a child with education and societal culture, and to think that child is going to grow up and be whatever outstanding citizen according to their community, because again, there's cases where
Jacadero, you are talking about the outliers.
Okay.
I am talking about when you devoid a person of knowledge of self, cut him from his history and his path, as what was done to the black people in the Western world. What are they going to come out with? They're going to come out with the white wigs and thinking that they are black British. They're going to think that Uncle Sam is their daddies. Because you have
we gave these people civilization. What did they do to us in turn?
If you have indoctrinated the people, from childhood to adulthood, the end result of that is they're going to have loyalties to the country that they would.
No,
this is why
they showed us that.
No, this is why you have black Republicans right now. This is why you have people who are ready to kill for Uncle Sam right now, because they've been indoctrinated. So you can't. And these are black people, by the way, who look just like Abraham Traore, who look exactly like. In fact, some of them probably even related to him in a distant kind of relationship to Abraham Traore. But ultimately, at the end of the day, in their minds, they think they are closer to Uncle Sam, and they're ready to kill for him. They're ready. Black people, by the way. So I'm saying, if you could do that in the same thing in reverse, what would be the reason for their death? What would be the reason for that death?
Buana, you're kind of long-winded taking up for white people here, but let me just say this. In New York City, one of the things that was astounding when I came here, and I still find it astounding when I see it, Do you know how much black women, Caribbean in particular, are raising these white people's children, giving them so-called Caribbean values and all this type of shit, feeding them our foods and all. You know these fuckers still grow up to hate us, dog? We gave these people civilization. What more can we give these people? And they still came back and enslaved our black asses when time came. It's time to stop thinking about the good white guy. A lot of us are ailed by this idea of the good white guy. Sure, we go on these jobs, and to make it through the day, we'll smile and maybe share a couple of words with these people. These same people will get you fired in a flash of a fucking second. It's time to stop this thinking, my friend.
I want to answer. I want to answer Forecast. Forecast asks a question. Forecast say, "Give me an example of the exception." Well, Forecast is an example of that exception. Forecast was raised under the American social system. He went to an American school who taught him about Thomas Jefferson and all these other characters. So did Brother Bakari and so did Anthony. But what came out of it? They're not loyal, patriotic citizens. They say we are African first. That wasn't taught in the curriculum. So obviously they are the exception to the greater rule, who most of these people, and he's played these videos all the time, are loyal patriots to who? Americanism and Uncle Sam. This is why he is the exception. He is the exception. This is an example of exception. But the rule is, you know what the rule is. So I'll just leave it there. I'll leave it there.
Hey, I know you say you finished with. Hey, Bwana, let me ask you a question. Do you know why the French and the British don't like allegedly don't like each other?
Educate me.
Okay, you do know the French used to control British. At one time, it was illegal for people in England to even speak English. They had to speak French, right? Everything I'm telling you, you can look it up, right? But after 200 years being taught French, raised like the French, thinking the French custom is so much better, you know what the British did? The British said they want their own. A few people, they called them peasants, have preserved their language. The British went to war with the French and defeated the French because they wanted their own. You can do that to people for so long. People going, I want my own. I'm not y'all. When you said me and Anthony and Forecast, because what makes now, if you can say us, what make you think there won't be them grow up? And we ain't them. Our history is Europe. Our history is this. Let's know our history. Now let's get ready to fight. What make you think because they're raised that way that they are gonna just grow up and forever want to stay under your thumb and and try to be you? I understand. Well, I know why you get that. You don't have to answer that question. You get that because you see what a lot of the people that call themselves Black Americans. I'm an African American. See, African gonna always be in mind. I'm African. I guess I'm American because shit through force I was, and I was born here. But I'm not a Black American. I don't even know where is black from. Just black. We want to erase who we are. But you talk to all those Urugus who screaming America, America, America. Look at their last name. They can tell you if they're Italian. They can tell you if they were Irish. They can tell you all that. Everything was taken from us, and everything you said, a lot of stuff you said was right. So if me and Forecast and Anthony is ready to rebel, what make you think you're gonna get all the Bitty Bobs and all the John boys who ain't gonna ever want to rebel? I'm just saying. So don't you think they would rebel? They rebelled against our own Europeans. You don't think they would rebel against us? And I'm not saying anything about, I'm talking about war.
Lovely conversation tonight, gentlemen. Lovely conversation. That's the show for tonight, man. I hope everyone said their piece. For all the prompts that we did tonight, I think we only did like 2 of them tonight. But the remainder of the problems I have for tonight we'll bring back next week. During the week, this upcoming week, I hope President Traore doesn't get sabotaged by a white child or something like that out here. But in the meantime, I think we should be Afro optimists for what we have going on in the Sahel. But before you guys leave, I think some people left. Before you guys leave, man, I'd like you guys to give a shout out. Why, please don't shout out no white children. I hope you guys, I'd like you guys to give a shout out for something positive. I'm sure everyone will say Traore, but you may have something personal in your life that you'd like to shout out, man. So I'd like everyone on the panel and in the chat to shout out something positive they saw during the week.
May I go first? I just had my
yes,
edible.
sir.
I'm about to wrap up. I just had my edible, so.
Oh, okay. Go ahead.
Hey, school teacher, you can't be doing that.
First of all, I'm sorry. If you ever taught high school, you would need this, sir. I need this.
I know like 5-6 school teachers say the exact same thing.
So let me just say, one, shout out to Ryan Coogler, man. I saw that movie Sinners this weekend yesterday. That movie was so good. I was an excellent film.
I saw it yesterday too.
Yeah, it's a really good movie. I recommend anybody who wants to just see a nice movie. It talked about just not just beyond the vampires and everything, but just the connection, the music to Africa and our ancestors. It was a really good movie. So I'm finding out about this black man whose son was killed by the cops, and then in retaliation he ran over a deputy. I don't know his name. I'll look it up some more. But yeah, his son got shot by the cops, and then he just ran over some random deputy. The brother figured his life was over. He killed his son, so thoughts and prayers to that brother. I'm sorry to hear that he lost his son. But he felt like that was his way of getting back. Crazy work we live in. But yeah, good show tonight, everybody.
Enjoy your edible. Thanks for coming through. Black Steel. Anthony, what would you like to shout this week?
Okay, yeah, man. I'd like to, first of all, I'd just like to give a shout out to black people all over the world, man, for standing up for not only for our brother Ibrahim Traore, but for Burkina Faso and for the Sahel station, for African independence and African freedom. I'd like to give a shout out to that, man. And a shout out to all the brothers on the panel, we might not agree, but I respect your right to have your opinion, man. And shout out to you, Koku, man. And hope your father recovers 100%, man.
Appreciate it, Anthony. Thanks for that shout out. Joseph, you're there. What would you like to shout out this week, my friend? Joseph probably went to sleep or something like that. Unmute your mic if you're there. If you're not, that's cool. I know it's late where you are. Jackadero, what would you like to shout out this week, sir?
Two things. One, we brought up the Haiti topic and Ruto bringing police officers to Haiti, which again, the prime minister at the time of Haiti asked the international community and Ruto responded. But with the Haiti and Kenya question and controversy, I would like to shout out the Swahili Village restaurant in Jersey City. Please, if you get a chance, if you're on the East Coast, Koku, if you're in the, I believe you're in the East Coast, you don't have to give out your information, but go check out Swahili Village. Why I bring this up is because it's owned not only by a Kenyan, but co-owned by a Haitian. So Pan-Africanism in the economic sense, really awesome to see. And then the second thing, of course, I'm in Omaha, Nebraska, for those that don't know. And please, I'm inviting each and every one of you guys to come to Omaha, Nebraska on Friday, May 16th for the Rebuilding a Village conference put on by the largest Black empowerment group in the Midwest, the Empowerment Network. Rebuilding a Village conference, what is it? Well, it's a chance to connect, also discover self-sufficiency among the Black communities. We partner with national cities, of course, Kansas City, Tulsa, Oklahoma, New Orleans, Louisiana, Lansing, Michigan, Syracuse, New York, Atlanta, Durham, Cincinnati, Ohio, Memphis, Tennessee, Detroit, Michigan, and everywhere in between. Please register. Come and see what Omaha, Nebraska is about, and send me an email if you have registered or if you're going to register. We'd be happy to build with you. Again, that's Rebuilding the Village Conference. Register at empoweromaha.com, the official website of the #1 biggest Black empowerment organization here in the Midwest.
I got to get Jacadera to be my hype man or something. Juan, what would you like to shout out this week?
Okay, so let me do it this way. First of all, let me say shout out to Empowering Omaha. Jacadera, I did fill out the form to sign on. I don't know if
Let's go. Let's go.
Absolutely, and I need to do my donation as well. But needless to say, support Jacadera's effort in terms of what he's trying to do in Omaha, Nebraska. It's probably only 4 people in Omaha, Nebraska, Black people in Omaha, Nebraska.
just to let you know real quick, just to let you, I know you're giving your shout outs, but the African American Commission, and it's by 15 different African American commissioners, one of them being a Kenyan American. Again, a Kenyan American is one of those 15. And the most recent census showed that there's at least one African or African descended person in every county here in Nebraska.
Okay, so that makes about maybe say 5. But
I hate you, Juan. I hate you.
Let's support Jacadero. Jacadero is a good voice in Omaha, Nebraska, and I'm sure that he's going to do great things there. Hopefully, maybe he might run for politics one day. Who knows? But I think that he is we should encourage that young voice. That we should do that. Shout out to all the sisters. It kind of break my heart. My sisters. Sister Raw and Provide Triggers is calling me a punk tonight. With no balls. But I respect it. Much love to all my sisters. We have a contrast and a conflict of this particular idea. I don't know why I have no boss, because we disagree. But much love to the sisters. I love the fact that we have contrast on this panel, and we need to contrast things. And if we disagree, we need to stand on our disagreement. Not only because I got a pile on tonight, I must just waver and just fall to the dominant opinion. No, if you believe something, stand on what you believe. So hopefully I taught a lesson tonight to all the psychopathic brothers and sisters that you could stand on your own and just disagree, But shout out to everyone tonight who gave their valuable contributions tonight, all the sisters and brothers who would have given their contributions, whether on the panel or not on the panel. Shout out to African people worldwide for collectively coming together and showing Western powers. I know that some may not like that word, but Western powers that we stand against. We are resisting. We are resisting by any means necessary, and we are waiting for Abraham Traore to basically give us whatever our orders may be, in assisting him in doing what he needs to do to help build that country, because that's one of the few countries in Africa and even in the Black world that's really holding up a light, to where we should go as African people. So shout out to him and all the 4 other countries in the Sahelian states as well, because they need to be mentioned as well. Shout out to them brothers as well for holding down the fort. Shout out to them, man. But much respect to you, Koku. I enjoyed this conversation tonight. Sometimes you got to be the bad guy. So shout out to all my brothers and sisters. I'll leave it there.
Yeah, good conversation, Juan. Much love to you still. Just get it together. But Buana, if you have time, Tuesday, maybe we could do a review of Sinners. You and Azuli.
Oh, yes. I do want to. By the way, anyone under the sound of my voice, Koku, and maybe Azuli is going to do a review of Sinners. If you all guys want to participate in that, get with Koku. So because anyone who's watched the movie, because it was a very good movie talking about history and African culture and different kinds of things. So if you all are interested, if you all don't have nothing to do besides listen to the matron is reading very, very good books. So if you all don't have anything to do besides listen to the matron on Tuesday night, come out and help us participate in our review of Sinners if you can.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Last but not least, Brother Bakari, what would you like to shout out this week?
I'm gonna shout out to you, man, for hosting this on Saturdays. Shout out to your pops. I ain't know, but shout out to him.
Yes, sir.
Shout out to Black Business. I got another video I'm about to post up with this beautiful Black author. Shout out to, Matron, for she do a great job. Shout out to everybody with their channels. And shout out to Matron, she do a great job. She do a great job reading. And I'm gonna give a shout out to every shout out that I'm gonna be shouting out in the future.
Yes, sir. So that's the show tonight. We'll be back probably on Tuesday to do that review, that African-centered review of the movie Sinners. And we should be back next week, but you know how it is with me right now, with my dad and stuff. It's a little touch and go, but we should be back next week, Saturday. I want to thank everyone who participated tonight. And before we leave tonight, I really would like us to leave with a prayer. And I'm going to let our boy Buana in cartoon form take us out in prayer. You guys be good. Peace.
I wake up at 4:45 in the a.m. every morning. That's about 12 hours before most niggas wake up. I am a very spiritual person. I start each day by thanking the white man for the sunrise, for the land I walk on, for the air I breathe. I also apologize for niggas, but Lord knows they ain't gonna apologize for themselves. I am not black, nor do I consider myself to be black. Many people mistake me for being Negro because they don't know that I am currently living with the heartbreak of revitiligo. That's a skin condition that's the opposite of what Michael Jackson's got. Every morning I apply this topical ointment made of bleach and sulfur. I like to think it works. Luckily.
Just kidding you there, Buana. Anyway, guys, I'll see you guys next time. Peace.
Thanks for listening to the Bitter Medicine Podcast with your host, Koku. If you like what you just heard, we hope you pass along our web address, bittermedicineblogs.com, to your friends and colleagues, and share our show to all your social media. Be sure to check out our archive section on our website for previous podcasts. This has been a KWAZ radio production. Join us next time for another session of the Bitter Medicine Podcast. Follow us on Facebook at Bitter Medicine Show, Twitter, Bitter Meds, Tumblr, Bitter Meds, Instagram, Bitter Medicine.